Chapter 47 Two Different Worlds. The concept of strength is different for everyone. It can be martial or strategic prowess, positional or physical power. Those who consider themselves strong would never let their weaknesses dictate their life and are therefore strong. Those who consider themselves weak are capable of discerning the strength in others and are therefore strong, is something I read in my previous life and it made me ponder. In short, strength means something different for different peoples. Did you say your name was Apricot? You shall learn just how sinful words that aren't backed by merit are. Right back at you. Have you come up with what excuses to say to the children you're supposed to protect when you lose? Something like you lost the battle but you will win the war because you shall protect them, maybe. You'd better not moan that you lost because your weapon was no good. Humph. I'll take you up on that. Humph, bring it on. That said, the reason behind this display of strength is a little complicated. I agree that willfulness is often rooted in strength, but I'd rather they didn't flex their strength in the weirdest of places. I'll take you up on that, my ass. Bring it on, my ass. I swear these guys had this all set up in advance. That can be the only reason why they are so in tandem. Care to explain, Baron Hartfield? Ash joined us when the two were about to go at it and demanded an explanation as he narrowed his eyes at me. Please don't look at me that way. This is the decision they reached after a compromise. It's not my fault they look so fired up. It's a long story. In a word. Fight. All right. Ash cut down my attempt at smoothing things over with his forceful yet curt words. I look pretty pathetic. I'd rather Lady Violet didn't see me right now. One would normally expect Ash to intervene and put a stop to the fight, but perhaps he knew there was no stopping Chartreuse when he got this way, for he sighed and turned to me. That young lady called Apricot, how strong would you say she is? From Ash's point of view, Apricot is probably just a weird girl who speaks nonsense. Her appearance does give her the flair of a witch, but it can also be quite hard to see past it. That said, if I were to comment on her abilities, just in terms of magical power, she's the best in all of Shiki. Yeah, only in terms of power. Enough to be Gray's master. A boy who is so talented that I ran out of things to teach very quickly. She could easily be the top student at the academy. You don't say. Apricot's abilities are exceptional. Let's go. A wooden sword on one side, a staff on the other. The match kicked off with each armed with a self-defense charm capable of absorbing a portion of damage from attacks. By controlling the amount of mana that goes into the charm, its damage absorption capacity can be loosely modulated. It's also reusable. As to its effectiveness, I hear it's an absolutely essential item in any fight, but that's up for debate. The simple reasons being its effect is short-lived. Imbuing the charm with mana is not a quick process unless, though it may be, it transmits some damage to the user resulting in some pain. As such, it can only be used in mock battles like these. Enhance leg strength, enhance arm strength, enhance vision, enhance hearing, enhance senses commence. Despite it only being a mock battle, rapid casting of magic buffs could be heard as soon as the match commenced. The speed at which the buffs were cast and time it took for it to take effect would leave any onlookers flabbergasted. In fact, certain Azalea Academy students, who witnessed the magic, looked completely spellbound. Ash was one of them, and though he looked worried for Apricot until then, his expression changed to one of caution the instant he saw her magic. Rapid. However, Chartreuse didn't falter and stepped forward, closing the distance in a flash and swinging his sword without hesitation. Ouch! The sword that aimed to the left of her torso didn't quite fully connect and grazed Apricot as she jumped back, her face distorting in pain. So he is fast enough for her to feel pain from just a graze. Not to mention, it was done with a wooden sword and to an opponent armed with a number of buffs. Chartreuse is still a fledgling, both mentally and ability-wise, and as such isn't able to match up to his parents who are both knight captains themselves, but his strength is evident. Does that mean he's in the route intended for the Chartreuse in the game? If I'm not wrong, the way he holds his sword is reminiscent of something Nephrite recklessly unleashed when backed to a corner and later converted into a move. This won't do. I need to stop thinking about the game. Slow. Chartreuse didn't ease up. He held the wooden sword in both hands, fixed his stance and followed up with a thrust. His movements were seamless, unfaltering and were truly like the wind. Slow indeed. However, Apricot predicted his move and dodged it by letting the sword slide in the gap between her body and left arm. She would normally be unable to dodge an attack that fast, but likely from the buff she cast on herself earlier, Apricot was easily able to react to his current level of speed. Before he could draw the sword out, she clamped on it using her enhanced strength. Once he tried and failed to retrieve it, she aimed her staff at him. So she intends to unleash her magic at point-blank range. Naive. Regardless, Chartreuse dealt with the situation calmly. Faced with the threat of an imminent, close-range magic attack, rather than trying in vain to pull out the sword that was stuck in place, or try to dodge the attack, he simply let go of the sword and stepped forward. There's a small delay between cast and activation with offensive magic. Using that loophole, if one can be faster than the spell, they can make one's opponent lose focus, thereby dispersing the magic before it's cast. Meaning, if something can't be solved with your sword, then just use your fist. Chartreuse eyed Apricot's abdomen and let his fist loose. Right back at you. Apricot didn't lose control of her magic. Rather, she smiled as if she'd expected him to do just that. Chartreuse reacted with surprise at her words, but it was already too late, and the magic circle set up in advance on her abdomen, which activated upon contact, was triggered. So she threw in a magic circle disguised as a buff. Concerto. A coordinated attack from the magic circle and her staff. The magic struck the Chartreuse, who had become defenseless after being caught off guard. Shield. Just before it hit him, he chanted a defensive spell to reduce some of the damage taken, and while the smoke from the magic engulfed the air, he stepped back to regain his footing. At the same time, making use of her loosened grip due to the recoil from the magic, he retrieved his sword and armed once again. He got ready to respond to his opponent's attacks as he jumped back and landed on his feet. However, that's exactly what Apricot wanted. Circle A, Circle Alpha. Circle B, commence. I get it. You're not all talk. Upon witnessing her magic, Chartreuse acknowledged Apricot's strength, albeit a little. Multiple red and purple magic circles emerged behind Apricot, each strong enough to easily kill a D-class monster, and all of them aimed at Chartreuse. Back during the Fenrir attack, if not for the unfavorable location, or having to protect two people, or Fenrir's high resistance to magic and its tough body, it would have been all too easy for her to deal with it. Oh. However, the same could be said for Chartreuse. His ancestors were not only master swordsmen but also archwizards, and he has still yet to reach his potential in both. He's still in the process of honing his skills. Enchant. He got into his stance. He aimed at the point that would help him cut through the gaps in the magic. It was the duty of a knight to pave the way to survivability. System Labyrinth. Flash. Both of their attacks clashed with one another. It made me realize that those two live in a totally different genre from me. Frankly, I felt envious. Even the onlookers were watching them with bated breath. Battling using magic is something that can only be enjoyed in a world with magic. Even I have once wanted to wake up with a demon's eye or unleash super flashy magic. Spectating their battle involving the free use of magic, I recalled a somewhat dark past of mine, and it made me envious. Chapter 48. This strange feeling bubbling to the surface. Ha! A sigh in the office. I was taught never to sigh unless it was to vex my opponent. However, I couldn't help but let out a sigh or two while reading the report on my desk. Lady Violet, I brought you some black tea. Thanks, Gray. Perhaps Gray, who had stayed back to welcome visitors in lieu of a secretary, could discern exhaustion from my face. After all, he had purposefully made me some tea. It's wonderfully delicious. He's added just the right amount of sugar, and not a single nitpick can be made in the way he had brewed it. Gray is second to none when it comes to making black tea or coffee. You're really good at brewing tea, Gray. You flatter me, milady. I complimented Gray, which he accepted with a respectful bow. His demeanor was truly that of a secretary or butler, but given his age, one would probably take him for a kid who has had a strict upbringing. Gray, why don't you relax, even just a little, when you're at home? Gray is my son by marriage. As it's only been 2 months since we met, I can't fault him for being reserved around me. Also, since I have been keeping him at a distance, it's only natural that we aren't close. However, the nature of our relationship makes me feel a bit sad. That said, I'm aware he's a good kid. That wouldn't do, milady. If I don't follow proper conduct under normal circumstances, it's possible that I'd mess up when it matters most. Gray has closed off his heart to me, or rather maybe his conduct is true to his nature. He always speaks politely to Lord CLO, which makes me wonder if he's decided that I and Lord CLO are people deserving of respect and that serving us brings him pleasure. It's not all too unusual to speak politely with family. I was the same way with my parents. However, I referred to them as father and mother and never by their name. Well then what should I do? If I want Gray to be himself, then perhaps I should maintain the status quo. Also, I'm not quite familiar with how a normal family interacts with each other. My father never showed any interest in me and my mother, and I hardly exchanged words outside of social settings. After a certain age, I only met my brothers on rare occasions. In short, I don't quite comprehend the desired distance between family members. When it comes to Gray and Lord CLO, though the former addresses the latter politely, it's obvious that they have a relationship built on mutual trust, and I want a similar amiable relationship with Gray. Gray, there's only the two of us here. Would you at least address me differently? Address, milady? How about Mrs. Hartfield? The distance between us grew ever so much wider. I'm rather shocked to hear that form of address from Gray. Please stop. Mother Violet. Right, he did call me that yesterday too. I'm not sure if it's all right to address me that way in public, but I wish it were more affectionate. That designation somewhat reminds me of my own mother. Mama? I don't know what this is. I feel something strange bubbling to the surface, a feeling I've never experienced before. I would have been happy with him just dropping my name and simply calling me mother, but Gray went one step further, closing the distance between us. Calm down. I'm different from that blacksmith. But what is this feeling? This feeling of being called mama by a young boy akin to a small animal with big soulful eyes. That certainly doesn't suit me. I should revert to calling you mother. It suits you, so say it one more time. I grabbed hold of Gray by his shoulders and hounded him. To be frank, it's rather embarrassing to be called mama, so it's better if he calls me mother, but I don't know why it feels like if I miss this chance then I can never hear him call me that again. What's the matter? You sound like Mr. Bly. Ack. Why are you holding your head looking crushed? I'm not like him. I'm nothing like that perverted blacksmith. Gray, who hasn't realized the truth about him, innocently pointed out a resemblance, hurting me in the process. No, I just wanted us to grow closer together as a family. I'm not going off the rails. Well, was I not excited about being called mama by someone who's more like a younger brother to me? Then I'm really a pervert. I'm not like Mr. Bly, I'm not like Mr. Bly. I'm not like Mr. Bly. I'm not like Mr. Bly. Come back to me, Lady Violet. Did my form of address really affect you that badly? This won't do. I was about to place a curse as a form of escapism. As it is, Gray is so easily influenced. So long as we live in Shiki, there's no guarantee that he would not be influenced by something weird, so I need to stand tall and be a good role model for Gray. I'm fine, Gray. Also about how you address me. Just call me whatever whenever you feel like. Yes, I understand. Gray looked at me and drew back a little. Granted, if a simple address is all it took for someone to act very weird, then anyone would be bewildered. I suppose. It's going to take some time until he can call me mother without any reservations. Maybe when we were deciding how to address each other the day after I got here, if I had just asked me to address me as mother in general, then maybe we wouldn't be Did someone drop by? I can hear the doorbell. I wonder if it's a visitor. Let me go take a look. Thanks. Gray bowed and swiftly but quietly exited the office. He's a really shrewd kid. Maybe even more so than my old maid, Amber. A visitor, huh? I don't remember us having anything scheduled today. Today in particular we aren't supposed to have any other appointments. I checked our schedule with Lord CLO, after the messenger from the Valentine family stopped over. In that case it could be a traveler or a peddler. Or it could be someone with something urgent to report. I need to brace myself even more than ever if it's an academy student. Come to think of it, I need to go meet someone. I suddenly remembered making plans to meet with an academy student. The one wanting to meet me was a female student, who I apparently dueled with once. Lord Cielo tried to be subtle about it, but if it's a female student who dueled with me, then it has to be her. I was quite surprised to learn that she was here in Shiki, but I can't just avoid her. Having His Highness fall in love with her, charming Ash and the others, mingling and treating both commoners and nobility alike with a smile on her face. She was a classmate whose virtues I was unable to see when I was acting out of control. I should try to calm down before leaving to meet her. I should apologize first when I see her. Though her conduct against me and upper society as a whole was absurd and she never tried to understand that, it still doesn't excuse my behavior. However, would it be alright if I bragged about being happily married to Lord Cielo? I certainly want to see her stunned expression upon hearing of how close we are. However, I'm not good at humble bragging. It would probably end with her worrying about my well-being. Even back then, Gray was worried for me. Oh. And that was when I realized that some time had passed since I had started contemplating on things to be done. That's weird. Gray should have come back to report to me by now. I wonder if he's still talking at the door. I can't put it past easily influenced Gray to not be taken in by any weird canvassing. I guess I should discreetly check on the situation. Gray? I got to the front door, only to find no one there and the door ajar. With no trace of having welcomed anyone inside, I looked around outside the open door to find no one near. Gray. I called out once again. There was no response. Chapter 49 Coup. Do you recognize my strength now? Riser Fuya. After the duel, Apricot was gasping for air. She was using her cane not as an aid for magic, but to support her body, which was how it was originally used in my previous life. Apricot's magical ability is the real deal. She can really use magic that one might believe she had only been bragging about. Naturally, looking at the way she could consequently activate magic earlier, it's obvious that she has quite a lot of mana. However, in terms of physical abilities, she's slightly below average compared to human girls of her age. If she casts multiple body-strengthening spells that cause recoil despite all this, she'll naturally be left gasping for air. Lady Apricot, I apologize for my previous statement. Magic skills like yours are among a class even in the academy. On the other hand, while Chartreuse was showing some fatigue, he was acting firm. He made one realize that there was literally a difference of heaven and earth between their physical abilities. That being said, he was directly hit by magic, and he probably wouldn't come out without major injuries if he hadn't had his protection charm. In any case, Chartreuse seemed to have also recognized Apricot's abilities during this fight. In the end, it all ended in a draw as their protection charms were shattered at the same time. So he had to admit it. Fufufu, if you understand, then it's fine. I did not expect you to handle my magic to that extent, Fuhu. Also, don't call me Lady Kohyu. Hey Apricot, these are lemons pickled in water and bees' nectar. Help yourself if you like them. You too, Sir Chartreuse. Thank you very much, Mr. Cielo Kafu. Actually, I was going to eat it later, but it's fine for the occasion. Apricot looks like she would collapse on the spot if I leave her alone, though she also looks as if she would throw up if she ate. Well, I can't just ignore your kindness. I shall eat too. Although he was worried about his surroundings, Chartreuse reached for the lemons that were soaked in bees' nectar, perhaps judging that it wouldn't look strange if he ate it now. Come to think of it, I think he had convinced himself that liking and eating sweet things would make him a weakling. In other words, he was hiding that he liked them. Still, he cares too much about such small matters. Ooh, it permeates through. But it tastes different than usual? Apricot, who had started speaking politely, said quizzically while eating. Indeed, it was made by Lady Violet and not me or Gray, but is it something one can understand with a single bite? That was a wonderful fight, you two. It was a match that you don't see very often even at the academy. Ash, who was quietly looking at those two deliciously eat, came over. I wonder if he's actually praising them genuinely, without any double meaning to his words. Considering his personality, I doubt he would just praise them, so it's making me anxious. Miss Apricot, was it? With that magic ability, you can apply to our Azalea Academy as well. How about it? I will recommend you, so why don't you attend the academy next year? Just a moment ago, he was treating her like a delusional kid though. Is that decision really okay? Hearing Ash's words, Apricot, who had been breathing heavily until now, got a proud expression on her face. She flipped her cloak and struck a pose. Fool, my magic use is high lost engaged, so I had no plans of becoming a Johnny, but it's a different matter if a linker like Riser is there. I might use this answerer when making an attractor Gofu. You can show off all you want, but do it after you've caught your breath. I rubbed Apricot's back to calm her down. I will leave it to you, Baron Hartfield. Does Ash think that I'm some kind of a dictionary or something? Let's see. For me, there is nothing much to learn about magic at the academy, so I had no intention of becoming a student, but it's a different story if there's somebody as strong as him there. I can consider attending it. At that time, I might have to rely on you. I see. Why does Johnny mean a student? Please ask Apricot herself for more details. Although there's something wrong with me for understanding her too. Well then. Ash looked like he didn't understand anything, but his tone changed slightly, as if to say that compliments were now over. It's true that it was a great duel, but what were you two thinking? Starting a fight and escalating it into a duel. Hearing Ash's words, which he said while smiling, Chartreuse stiffened and Apricot tried running away, realizing that she was about to be lectured. Invisible. I won't let you use magic. Before Apricot could do anything, Ash grabbed her shoulder, and at the same time he also grabbed Chartreuse's shoulder to keep them from escaping. I tried to stop them, you know? The responsibility is on both of them. I sneaked away from the two who were being lectured before the sparks started flying towards me too. When I looked around after walking a little further away, I noticed that the students that had been watching from a distance had also started to sneak away. Are they used to seeing Ash in that state? Their response was quick. What should I do? What should I do now? It's a little early for lunch, and even if I go back to the mansion, there's a chance Lady Violet is still working. Since I don't know when she's going to finish, it's probably for the best if I don't go back right away. So I'll look around a little bit. Lord CLO. Suddenly, I heard a voice from behind me. I don't even have to turn around to recognize who the owner of this voice is. But what brought her here? Did she come to see Ms. Nephrite, after finishing her business with the Valentine family? If so, it's a bit sudden. It makes me nervous. Did something happen, Lady Violet? I turned around and confirmed that it was Lady Violet. She was wearing the same clothes she wore before I went outside, and they didn't look very easy to move in. Judging from her appearance, she probably had something to ask me. Yeah, I have something to ask. With a somewhat worried look on her face. Have you seen Gray? Lady Violet asked me anxiously. Chapter 50 Viva la Revolution. After hearing from Lady Violet that Gray's whereabouts were unknown, we decided to split up and search for him. It's because it would be a problem if he were in some kind of trouble. Also because I'm genuinely worried about him. I've told him to not follow strangers, but he might have followed a familiar person. He looks easy to deceive anyway. Mr. Bly, and you, Azalea Academy student, did you kidnap Gray? That's both very straightforward and very rude. Yeah. So I tried hitting up suspicious people. A female student wearing a black uniform for nobles was talking about Shotas with Mr. Bly. I don't seriously think that they kidnapped him, but they might have keenly reacted to Gray's existence and remembered where he went. I was joking about kidnapping, but we don't know where Gray went. I've been asking everybody about him just in case. No, I don't remember seeing him. What about you, miss? No, I could tell within 100 m radius if there aren't any obstacles, but my sensor isn't catching him. Yeah, there was no scent I could detect outside either. Exactly. He's a superb boy, so we would notice if he were outdoors. Gray aside, I'm worried whether these two are really okay. In other words, if Mr. Bly wasn't at the smithy back then, he'd be able to sense Gray's presence. And who in the world is this noble lady? CLO, didn't I tell you that for us, Shodas are something to be admired and not something to be plucked. I know that. I know that well. It would be better if their ways of adoration were non-problematic, but their words and actions are a big problem. That's why if anything happens to Gray, call us right away. We will not forgive anybody who wants to hinder his healthy growth. That naturally goes for me too, Lord Hartfield. I will use all my authority to eliminate everybody who causes him harm. Her face and the tone were serious. I can only pray that this passion won't turn into a desire to touch. But she reminds me of my younger sister in my previous life. She used to say that she only admired her OTP one true pairing, and didn't actually want to be a part of it. Everybody has their ways of having fun, but maybe it's good that those people are of the same thought too. But it's not like I don't understand the feeling of wanting to gently guide those without knowledge, only to tease them as they panic from their first sensation of pleasure. What did you say? Things turn tense. One side wants to watch over young boys grow up healthily, and the other side wants to encourage their growth and dye them into their own color. Whether those are mutually exclusive is something I don't know. Differences in viewpoints within people who have the same hobbies and tastes can sometimes even lead to war. My younger sister was generous, but there were still people who she used to clash with, so I understand. I was like that too. Looks like you need a revolution, miss. Okay, I'll play along all you want. Okay, time to run away. I simply thanked them and left. I don't think they heard me though. Another place he might have gone to is. After that, I tried checking places where Gray might have gone to. I searched the church, the inn, houses of the children close to him in age, Apricot's house, the academy students. But I couldn't find him anywhere. There was also a chance that I missed him, so I returned to the mansion once, but he wasn't there. At the entrance there was a memo left by Lady Violet, so if Gray had seen it, I'm sure he would have left a note or stayed here. In other words, Gray hasn't come back. All that's left is. I started thinking about all possibilities. It's fine if he's hiding as some kind of a prank, but when I think about how he might have gotten into an accident, it makes me uneasy. I don't want to think about this being a handiwork of some other person, just like that time with Miss Schwartz, but I still have to keep it in mind. Although Gray is excellent at magic, he's very gullible. Suddenly I felt something strange. The atmosphere in the mansion that I was familiar with was too different. I don't know what it is, but I just know that something is different. I tried thinking in a positive way that Gray is hiding in a mansion to surprise us, but this sensation I'm feeling is more negative. I took a quick look around the mansion to make sure that my feelings were wrong. As I looked around the needlessly large mansion, the feeling of discomfort receded. I wanted to fully get rid of it, but I just couldn't do it. I looked around my and Gray's rooms, and as far as I remembered, nothing was missing, so I decided that it wasn't a robbery. Excuse me. And lastly, I arrived in front of Lady Violet's room. I apologized and bowed slightly to the door. I understand that entering the room without consent is rude, and I'll apologize to Lady Violet later too, but I wanted to confirm something at all costs. I opened the door and entered inside. From what I saw inside, nothing seems to have changed. There were no signs of anybody breaking in, and the inside wasn't ransacked in any way. I was just about to leave the room, feeling relieved that it was just a groundless fear, and that I didn't have to stay long inside, when I spotted some papers on the desk. I know that if the content is personal, I shouldn't look at it, so I tried to avert my gaze immediately, but the words that stood out caught my eye even if I didn't want it to. There was a single sentence written on the first piece of paper. You don't deserve happiness, shit. Here we go again. Chapter 51. Consider everything calmly. In summary, what was written on the paper was, you don't have the right to be happy. You tried to make that person unhappy, so you should be unhappy too. It's unforgivable for you to relax in front of a servant and smile. Unforgivable, 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 unforgivable. That's mostly it. Although the name of that person hasn't been mentioned in this case, it must be His Highness Vermilion. There's something like, even if he was your fiancé written too. And to make you unhappy, I will make the people around you disappear. Words like that have also been scribbled down. It said that if you hate someone, you'll hate everything that is theirs, so that's how Gray, who this person believes to be her servant, ended up being caught in the crossfire. Oh. After reading the letters, I looked up from the paper, grabbed the edge of the table where the letters were left and destroyed it. The wooden desk was easily crushed and the sound of destruction echoed through the room. Calm down. I feel livid. I also feel an urge to immediately go looking for Gray. But first I have to sort out the situation. This letter was left in Lady Violet's room, and not at the entrance or the living room. That means the culprit didn't expect me to find it. In other words, if I make a fuss, they might get provoked in a weird way. There's somebody who would write such a crude, threatening letter. I don't know what they might do if I provoke them. This might be different from a mystery novel, but I must think about the who had done it, the suspects. Suspect 1. The reason is because he still hates Lady Violet. In that case, Chartreuse also becomes a suspect, but rather than do something so roundabout, he's more of the type to directly pick a fight, so he's excluded. Ash is the type to completely corner the target that he considers an enemy. And he would do that without taking direct actions, instead intervening indirectly. It was to make sure that he would be safe from any consequences. He's somebody who would neither kill his targets, nor let them live, instead literally keeping them until the end of their usefulness, according to my memories, that is. There's also a possibility that his plan was to tell somebody who resents Lady Violet that she's in Shiki, so he would have no need to get his hands dirty. But I don't think that's the case. Suspect 2, Ms. Nephrite. I don't want to think about it, but if her words about wanting to talk with Lady Violet were a lie and she wanted to get revenge for the harassment she'd received at the school from the start, she might have gotten angry at being unable to meet her and decided to take action. If this is really what happened, she's too scary. After all, this would mean that her words and her smile were all a lie. It's poisonous, but also a delicacy. One bite, just one bite, aha. If even her expression of almost giving in to the temptation was a lie, she'd be an Oscar-worthy actress. I don't want that to be a lie, at least no, in a way I want it to be a lie. It's not uncommon for the heroine to eat poison and vomit, but I hope the sight of her shaking and breathing heavily while holding a poisonous plant in her hand was a lie. I feel like my sister in my previous life had a similar expression on her face whenever she discovered a new ship. Suspect 3. Azalea Academy students who came to Shiki. The so-called named students in Ring of Fire aren't the only ones who hold a grudge against Lady Violet. There might be students who were unable to disobey her due to their statuses, or those who experienced hardships because of the Valentine family. Oh. If Lady Violet was in front of them in her current state, in other words, as Violet Valentine who has fallen from her former glory, and it made them think that right now they are in a superior position, they might have taken advantage of the victim's authority to act. It's true that the students displayed hostility and malice when they saw Lady Violet. So, it's not strange for them to confront her. Lord Hartfield, I would like to thank Dr. Ivory for healing my injuries. Do you mind telling me where to find him? Baron Hartfield, the vegetables here are very delicious, so would it be okay if I took some soil back to grow them in the academy too? I would also like to be introduced to somebody who would teach me how to grow them. Would that be fine? Lord Hartfield, you have it wrong. I wasn't trying to sneak into the hot spring. Right? I was simply trying to make a hot spring egg. It's fine even if I go into the hot spring? Yahoo! But I don't want to think that all those kids were full of malice. Even if they were, I don't want to believe that they would try to cause harm. However, if I have to doubt them, all of them are suspects. Suspect 4. Azalea Academy students who didn't come to Shiki. The Academy doesn't have all the information about what happened in Shiki yet, but just like how Ash got the information in his own way, somebody else might have also gotten the information about Lady Violet. And they went out of control because they didn't know about Shiki's internal affairs. That's a possibility too. In that case, it would be easy to catch the culprit due to their lack of knowledge of the terrain and the lack of cover-up due to the impulsivity of the crime. But there's a high possibility that Gray won't be safe because of the culprit's agitated emotional state. Suspect 5 Gray. A one-man show. A result of consulting Cyan. In that case, I'll lecture everybody for a long time, but this would be the best possibility. Suspect 6 Miss Schwartz. Miss Schwartz's counterattack. She kidnapped Gray as a start. Let's calm down. It's a possibility, but she wouldn't have left a letter like this. Just in case, I should also keep in mind that Gray's disappearance and the appearance of the letters could be two different phenomena, and if I include bandits who could do this for profit, the suspects increase even more. However, there's a possibility that Gray wouldn't think that they were meeting for the first time and would create a chance for them to act. But still, I looked at the letters that I wanted to tear up right this instant and pretend that they didn't exist. From the middle, the writing became erratic as if it was casting a curse, but the characters at the beginning were thin and rather feminine. The text clearly showed their love for His Highness and their resentment towards Lady Violet. Were they really unable to forgive Lady Violet that much? You can hate anybody you want. I'm not mature enough to deny that. However, if you're going to lay your hands on my family, you better be prepared. If you're going to resent someone, don't complain if you get the same attitude back. Chapter 52 saying, I'll protect you sounds cool. Taking into account Gray's safety, it would behoove us to take immediate action, and I wish for nothing less. However, we're too in the dark to make any moves. Even if Gray was abducted, we have no way of knowing where he's being held, or what kind of methods were employed to abduct him unbeknownst to anyone. Narrowing down the options based on time is unfortunately something I can't do by myself because I have too little information. That said, I can't just pick anyone's brain as there are simply too many suspects. Cyan, the priest, Ivory, and the other residents of Shiki are people I can trust, but I have no way of telling who's under the perpetrator's surveillance. As long as there's danger involved, I should only consult with those that are somewhat capable of defending themselves, but most everyone capable of such a feat all stand out. What should I do? I should also have a talk with Lady Violet. She has a very strong sense of responsibility. At the same time, she also had a fragile side to her. Regardless of whether I talk to her now or later, Lady Violet's would be in shambles at the end of it. Gray is precious to me, but so is Lady Violet. Moreover, though innocent, if Gray were to learn that his abduction caused much mental anguish for Lady Violet, who he loves very much, I'm sure he'll be very upset. Regrets like, if I had only been more careful, might haunt him after the dust settles on the whole incident. So tell me, what's our plan? Lady Violet. Actually, wait. As I restlessly paced the room mumbling to myself, wondering what to do, Lady Violet, who seemed to have heard me rambling, looked at me with a bewildered look on her face. That's weird. I didn't feel anyone's presence until a moment ago. It's almost like she popped up out of nowhere. I see. No way. Did Lady Violet? Did you use invisible dark? What's the matter, Lord Cielo? You're saying things Apricot would. Oh dear. Now Lady Violet looks genuinely concerned for me. She came closer with her palm outstretched, but I waved my hands, reassuring her that I wasn't sick. Well, you see. I'm at a loss. She caught me before I had gathered my thoughts, so I'm not quite sure how to proceed. Should I be evasive? But if she finds out later, then she might feel hurt. I don't know what to do. Did you perhaps also not find Gray yet? Neither have I, forgive me for letting something like this happen even though I was with him. Lady Violet looked very sorry as she expressed her apology. I could feel her concern for Gray, and her regret at causing me concern, and her earnest wish for Gray to be safe. Lady Violet. What is it, Lord Cielo? I decided to finally speak with her so as to quell her worries. Because I realized that she isn't just someone I must protect but a family member, with whom I must cross life's hurdles together. Please stay calm and listen to what I have to say. I see. I understand the situation. Once I brought her up to speed, Lady Violet nodded, her face serious, which concealed her anxiety. She didn't seem surprised that Gray had come into harm solely due to his connection to her, but appeared calm as she thought of ways to deal with the matter, even as her right hand that wasn't holding the letter was curled up in a fist. Lord Cielo, I'm sore. For now, why don't we stop with the apologies? She breathed in, trying to switch gears, and turned to me once more, opening her mouth to apologize, but I cut her off before she could finish. It's true that her past was the reason this situation came to be, but I don't think apologizing to me here is the right thing to do. After everything is over, I'll listen to your apologies and we'll discuss my reward then. Let's just focus on the crisis at hand now. You're right. Oh. Lady Violet heeded my words and closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She opened her eyes and focused on the letter, and the look in her eyes changed. The kidnapper is Roshenna, the child of a baron. And she revealed the name of the culprit just like that. It didn't sound like an assumption or conjecture, but she seemed sure, which made me wonder what had led her to the conclusion. Because this writing is the same as letters I and His Highness received before. The reason was much simpler than I had expected. Unless there's someone else helping her, the perpetrator who wrote the letter at the very least seems to be Roshenna, a former classmate of Lady Violet's. Brown hair reaching up to her shoulders and brown eyes. A new noble belonging to a barony, the eldest child of the Rivers family. She seems to have written love letters to His Highness, and letters detailing her arduous love for His Highness to Lady Violet. It really is a surprise that she was able to avoid getting caught all this time. The letters would read, "A bird flees the moment you look away. If it's only going to be taken from you, then it's better to imprison it in a cage, and to make sure the lovers stay together for eternity, I wish to destroy it with my own 2 hands. I don't wish to see someone so proud and noble break down." And so on. A Yandere, huh? Yandere? Or maybe she has mental health issues, but I know too little to make the distinction. Frankly, in either case it would mean she's too in love that she can't even see the object of her affections anymore, is the impression I get. I have nothing but pity for anyone who likes people with qualities like hers. Come to think of it, the contents of the letter sound familiar. Even the name Roshenna sounds vaguely familiar now. To be honest, all I'm getting is a bad feeling. Anyway, what kind of a girl is she? If her love language is killing, then we need to find her now. If this girl called Roshenna's love language is to destroy or rather take a life, then Grey is in danger. If Roshenna is thinking that depriving her of a loved one would deter Lady Violet from loving, killing again, then we must find her pronto. Well, Roshenna is a guy, and I don't think he resorts to murder. Say what? Hold on. His Highness received love letters from this person, right? Yeah. But Roshenna is also a guy, you say? Ah, he has a mix of elf, dwarf and human genes. I see now. A guy sent love letters to His Highness and looked upon Lady Violet with envy. For real? Yes, for real. Why? I just remembered. Roshenna is a character that appears in that Otome game, Ring of Fire. He mostly appears in His Highness route, a guy with an elf's appearance and dwarf skills. And just like Ms. Schwartz, he plays the villain and has a few crazy fans in my previous world. He abducts the protagonist, Ms. Nephrite, but His Highness finds out where she's being held and rushes to apprehend the villainous heir. After losing to His Highness in combat, he cries the following words: "I regard it the highest honor to have seriously contented with you, who I love so dearly. Yippee!" So exclaims the pervert. Even Shiki doesn't have a pervert like him. I see. He's that character. Haha. Then there's something I can do to deal with him. Ahahat. Shit. It's him? This is bad in a number of ways. Lord CLO. In the event the crisis is resolved without consulting Lady Violet. Protecting her with great care increases favorability with Lady Violet. However, she grows distant. Chapter 53, a possibility that he's not much different from the residents of Shiki. There's a reason why Ring of Fire, the abbreviation for the Otome game when the Ring of Fire is lit, world is painted red, sounds so disturbing. Ring of Fire symbolized the sun. In other words, from the title it can be inferred that the heroine and love interest couldn't see each other because it was dark, but after the sun rose and they could see each other's faces well, they both got embarrassed and their faces turned red. The title turns into something romantic. However, there are a lot of dangerous things happening in this game, and depending on your choices, the characters often die or get seriously injured. Moreover, in most cases, it happens after the characters separate from the main love interest. On the next day they're discovered by the main leads, who came to pick them up, lying covered in blood, usually dead. The main love interest who would come to pick up the heroine in the morning would find her collapsed, sometimes even dead. The characters were dyed in red along with the dawn. Thanks to that, fans proclaimed that the bad end was clearly a suspenseful murder scene, prologue, and the game became known as Ring of Fire. And a character called Roshenna Rivers is one of the reasons why the game name is abbreviated as such. He has brown hair and brown eyes. He has a slim figure and he's around 180 centimeters tall. He's a male student of the same age as Lady Violet, whose specs combine the best features of elves, dwarfs, and humans. He's the only son of the Rivers family, which bought their title with money, and his usual countenance shows that he has a friendly personality and good looks, which makes him popular among the female students at the academy. However, in reality he's a crazy Yandra character who's madly in love with the main love interest, His Highness Vermilion. He gets jealous of the heroine when she's in His Highness route and tries to make everybody around His Highness disappear to make him return to his previous solitary existence, while proclaiming, "I won't let that peasant steal you away from me." As a result of that, Ash gets injured, Chartreuse gets hospitalized due to ingesting poison, not life-threatening. Other strange things start happening at the love interest's house which makes him return to his hometown. Once His Highness starts to get anxious, Roshenna ultimately kidnaps the heroine. He doesn't kill her or harm her when he first confines her. The reason for that is, if he finds out that you're alive, I'll get to see that person panic. And if I help him find you, His Highness will be grateful to me. Ah, what bliss! I can feel the heat accumulate in my lower abdomen. Because he has developed a perverted fetish. Moreover, not only does he want to hear words of gratitude from His Highness, he also wants to see His Highness' expression when he takes control of the heroine, so he tries to use mind control on her. In the end, heroine finds the opportunity to escape, but she's caught and brought back to the room. Thinking that he must punish her, Roshenna comes up with a brilliant idea to send parts of her body to His Highness and wonders about how he would react. Just as he gets close to the heroine to bring this plan in action, he's defeated by His Highness who rushes over. Furthermore, it seems that there were some fans who liked the confined life and proclaimed that they wanted to be controlled. I'm sorry, I lost my composure. No, it's fine. But do you know Roshenna, Lord Cielo? Yes, well, to some extent. Anyway, this guy is a pain in the ass. He doesn't respond to money demands. He doesn't care if his family is in danger. There's no point in using his parents for negotiation. He will only negotiate for something that will be beneficial for His Highness. In other words, the only negotiation material we have is something that will bring out His Highness' emotions or make Roshenna realize that his actions will not benefit His Highness. Moreover, in case of the latter, if we fail, he'll be furious. Miss Schwartz was easy to understand because all I had to do was negotiate with her about money, the orphanage, or her client, but with this guy, even if I use the same words, he'll become a minefield if I don't follow the proper steps. If there's a single good thing, that would be... One thing we know for sure is that he has no intention of killing Gray. That's right. Roshenna doesn't have the courage to kill somebody. It would be different if it was an accident or if he was cornered, but due to his personality, he's even unable to kill a monster that's trying to harm him. I don't know if I should call him kind-hearted or a coward. No, a kind-hearted person wouldn't have kidnapped Gray. But we can't let our guards down. While he doesn't have the courage to kill, he also thinks that anything is fine as long as he doesn't kill the other person. Yes, he also thinks that anything is fine as long as he doesn't kill the other person. There are times when he injures people under the guise of playing around. A small amount of malice that grows gradually may cross the line eventually. It's possible that it's happening right at this moment. What's more, the current situation is most likely the result of him discovering Lady Violet, who he considers to have harmed His Highness and taking action. As long as she has no direct connection to His Highness at the moment, I don't know how the other person will act. By the way, why do you know him, Lady Violet? As I was thinking about Roshenna, something suddenly made me wonder. Thinking about Lady Violet's personality, she would immediately condemn the sender of the letter as soon as she'd found out their identity. I found out about the author of the letter the day before the duel and frankly speaking, I only had the duel on my mind back then. I see. I couldn't pursue her any further. Anyway, let's find out where Roshenna is. Do you have an idea? Well, yes. As of now, we don't know Roshenna's whereabouts. I can narrow down possible hideouts and escape routes to some extent, but it'll take time to check all of them. But as long as we know who did it, there's something we can do too. Well then, let me show him what happens when he makes an enemy out of Shiki. The sun is setting. Let's finish everything before dawn. Chapter 54 Love. I don't know the details, but it seems that I've been kidnapped. The place I've been abducted to is the cave where Lord Cielo was trying to increase the number of my mothers the other day. I'm being held at the back of the cave, locked up in a simple magic prison with magic sealing handcuffs. I was kidnapped by a person wearing Azalea Academy uniform, who was taller and more slender than Lord Cielo, and had some elf characteristics. At first, I thought it was somebody from another town who'd come to report on something related to the investigation, and I was caught off guard. From now on, I'll make sure to not let my guard down just because the other person is wearing a uniform. For now, I must overcome this situation to actually have a future where I can do that. Fufu, I did it, I really did it. I left the letter and captured the secretary too. I wonder what kind of expression His Highness Vermilion will make if he finds out that I trapped that woman. Fu. The man in front of me, who had been muttering incomprehensible things in front of me, has been muttering similar things since a while ago. Vermilion, if I remember right, he's the third prince and Milady's former fiancé. I don't really get it, but this person seems to have kidnapped me because of the third prince. In that case, the possible reason for kidnapping me could be: was my kidnapping related to Lord Vermilion? After I was able to confirm the situation I was in, I stopped acting like I was sleeping, sat up and asked my kidnapper. As a result, he trembled for a moment as he realized that I was awake and looked at me slightly panicked. At first he checked on me, but when he saw that I couldn't escape, he felt relieved and answered my question. Oh, sorry for suddenly kidnapping you, boy. This isn't enough for an apology, but I will say that the answer to that question is both yes and no. I was confused by his unexpectedly friendly demeanor, but I must not let my guard down. If I get too emotional, I'll lose because I can't resist. Since I can't use magic and my physical abilities are far inferior to Lord Cielo, in the worst-case scenario I might end up losing my life. First, I must organize the information I have and utilize it. If I can't resist, then I don't have to. It's not like I absolutely can't do anything. I should do something I can, instead of doing nothing and only waiting for the help to arrive. What does that mean? Fufufu, you're quite calm, boy. Your parents must have taught you well. That's why, out of respect for your attitude, I'll answer you. The person who kidnapped me stood in front of the prison, opened his arms wide and looked up at the sky. I felt strangely nervous as I waited for him to speak, as his gesture looked as if he was worshipping a higher being. What was this person trying to achieve even after going to the lengths of kidnapping me? I love Lord Vermilion. I don't think that's what I asked. That sparkling red hair, beautiful violet eyes that could even overshadow jewels, the one and only solitary existence whose voice, arms, legs, muscles, physique, gestures, size, academic ability, athletic ability, magic and mana put him above everybody else. Ah, just remembering it makes me excited, so excited. Again, I don't think that's what I asked. I was fine with just watching over him from the shadows. It was enough for me to be spoken to from time to time, having my name remembered after getting good grades and sending him letters to let him know about my love. While I cannot reach him now, one day I want to stay by his side. So this is just a part of that process. Yay. Like I said, that's not what I wait. Did this person say he loves Lord Vermilion? Lord Vermilion is the third prince and he was supposed to have become Milady's husband before Lord Cielo. In other words, he is a man. If this person loves him, it means that my kidnapper wants to be in a romantic relationship with Lord Vermilion, in the same-sex romantic relationship. What? Isn't love like that something that is only possible between biological men and women? You're too naive, boy. That is a trivial thing in the face of true love. My love for Lord Vermilion can easily transcend biological sex. How can this be? I have learnt of a shocking truth that I didn't know until now. I see, so love can transcend not just the age gap but also sex. True, just like how race is irrelevant when you're in love, so is biological sex. In fact, the person in front of me is in love with a man despite being a man himself. Now that I see a live example in front of me, I can't deny it. No, wait. In that case, there's something I have to know. If biological sex is not an obstacle for love, then tell me. Don't tell me there's a possibility that I could be in a romantic relationship with Lord CLO? Lord CLO, you mean your master? It's highly possible, boy. Don't worry, the first step is scary for everybody. There's no need to be scared. Come on, take a step forward. I cannot believe this. I thought that I just adored Lord CLO who saved me from that place and treated me as his child, but what I thought was familial love all this time turned out to be romantic love. That's not good, Gray. Lord CLO is already married to Milady, who's also my mother. Lord Green also said that cuckolding is wrong. I have to lock away my feelings. My feelings are meant to be suppressed. They shouldn't exist. Lord CLO is a married man and he's also my master. Those feelings shouldn't exist. Do not be afraid, boy. Social status means nothing in the face of true love. Let us walk together, towards the never-ending love. What is with this person's words? They mysteriously reach the depth of my ears. It makes me imagine that everything he's saying is right. No, this is probably a case of Stockholm Syndrome I read about in a book. I love Lord CLO in a romantic sense. And I want to be ensnared, is that really how I feel? Anyway, falling in love with him is unacceptable. 2. I would never get into a romantic relationship with Lord CLO. Phew, fine. Let's see how long your willpower can last. Oh. Chapter 55. That's how it is for me. I was somehow able to endure it. It was a close call, but I managed to endure it by reasoning with myself that my feelings of adoration were not a romantic love, but rather respect and familial love. It really was a close call. Oh, you managed to resist my voice? You're quite something, boy. My kidnapper. The person named Roshenna looked at me as if impressed. However, perhaps pulling me towards a strange path was just for fun, and it wasn't something he was fully invested in. He merely expressed his pleasant surprise at me rebelling against his voice and soon turned his attention away from me, turning towards the entrance of the cave. It looked to me that he was confirming that the sun was setting from the light coming in from the cave entrance. There are traces that she read the letter. Well then, what will that woman do? Roshenna muttered quietly to nobody in particular. He murmured, that woman, with disgust. Those words didn't sound like he hated all women just because he liked men, but rather like he abhorred the person in question instead. That woman most likely refers to the person who's the reason why I was kidnapped. She will take some kind of action due to me being kidnapped. In other words, this person has judged that I'm close to that woman. The only possible candidates I can think of are Lady Violet and Lady Apricot. There are other women who I'm close to, but from the fact that he's wearing an Azalea Academy uniform and that he called me a secretary earlier, the more likely candidate is. So you kidnapped me to degrade Lady Violet. As expected, Lady Violet had the highest possibility of being that woman. She's a good mother who I admire, but from the looks of the Azalea Academy students who've come to Shiki, even I can tell that they hate her. Is he one of those people who hate her? Yeah, that's right. That woman shouldn't be forgiven and she has no right to be happy either. That's why I am going to steal you away from her, boy. Roshenna easily admitted it as a fact. Lady Violet has no so-called right to be happy? I am often dense, but I want to loudly deny his statement. It must be painful for you to serve that woman too, boy. That wicked woman is. Please do not insult my mother. It might have been better to stay quiet, but I didn't want to hear any more of Roshenna's words. Before I came to my senses, I had talked in hopes of interrupting what he was saying. Mother. Yes, Lady Violet is my precious mother. That woman is your mother. Then, perhaps not expecting my words, Roshenna looked at me, as if he didn't understand what I was talking about. Maybe he didn't know that I was her stepson and only thought of me as her secretary. In that case, it would mean that Roshenna really kidnapped me impulsively. It infuriates me that he wanted to ruin her happiness on a mere whim. You must be barely over 10 years old, right, boy? And yet you're saying that you're that woman's child? Yes. We might not be blood-related, but both Lord CLO and Lady Violet are my precious parents. Trying to understand my words, Roshenna put his hand on his forehead and took a thinking gesture. Eventually he arrived at a single answer and turned towards me with a look of understanding and pity. I see, so you are the Lord's adopted son and a butler. Then you're even more pitiful. I am sure you don't feel at ease having a mother like that either. No, while she may be clumsy, she's a wonderful, resolute person. Although both of them sometimes behave in ways that I don't understand, they are my precious parents who take good care of me. Boy, why are you objecting? Then, I don't know what he thought of my words, but he asked quietly. I don't understand. It's obvious you'll suffer terribly if you protect that woman in this situation, right? Despite this, I don't understand why you object even at the risk of being hurt. Roshenna brought his face close to mine and asked me, as if he didn't understand the behavior of a child like me. His expression looked as if he had absolutely no idea why anybody would take Lady Violet's side. And the reason why I objected? It's simple. I would rather be hurt than listen quietly to my mother being insulted. That's all. Having the mother I respect be denied was more unbearable than being hurt physically. That was all. That woman isn't a worthy human like that. Then, Roshenna raised his voice after hearing my words and got even closer to me. His voice, full of madness, echoed in the cave to an unbearable degree, evoking unpleasant feelings in me. That woman only exists to torment Lord Vermilion. Her very existence is evil. As if the little rationality he had left was keeping him from breaking the prison, he reached inside the prison and grabbed my cheeks. The expression on his face was dominated by a different kind of madness than before, letting me know that my words were unforgivable for him. That woman restrained him with words that tormented him, denied him, shackled him down under the guide on their childhood betrothal, intimidated those around him, went mad with jealousy, dragged the whole academy into it and even lost the duel. For her to be accepted on this land on top of all this should be impossible. Even though just her existence and her name itself is enough to torment Lord Vermilion. Don't screw around, don't screw around, don't screw around with me. Roshenna, who was speaking rapidly, wasn't talking to anybody in particular and seemed to only be thinking out loud. I don't know what, but even I, who's not educated enough, can understand that this person isn't qualified to say all this. Even if that's true for you, she's a good mother for me. That's why I'll say it. It might be tit for tat, but I have to say it. Even if she did something in the past that made the students of the academy hate her, it's true that the days I spent with Lady Violet are fun. Even if what this man thinks is true within him, this is what's true for me. I see. It seems you have been poisoned, boy. Even though it didn't have the same vigor as before, Roshenna's voice penetrated my ears to a frightening degree, encroaching them. It was as if the voice itself was imbued with mana, and was trying to mix with the mana lurking inside me to create chaos. Now forget her. You shouldn't leave that bitch even in the corner of your memories. I will remove the tumor called Violet from your mind. Listen to my voice. The voice echoed inside my brain. Mana so vast, that I wouldn't be able to tell if I weren't conscious of it, came inside me. Oh. Even if I try to deny him, his words are so alluring, they're trying to slip inside me like a drug. Don't come. 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 If I let my guard down, I might lose something important to me. You're the tumor, Roshenna Rivers. Just as the mana I thought was about to disappear was on the verge of pouring inside me, a voice I've become used to hearing in my everyday life echoed in the cave. Rivers, I don't care what you gossip about me or how you insult me. But a dignified voice. A fearless bearing. Her hair is a little disheveled from rushing over, but her beautiful violet hair and powerful blue eyes are still the same. If you touch my son, you're dead. The woman whose strength I admired stood there. Chapter 56. Never relinquish the lead. Roshenna Rivers can use word magic. Explained CLO, while en route to the cave where Gray was believed to be held. I'd never heard of Rivers being able to use something like word magic. What even is word magic in the first place? Lord CLO, just what in the world is word magic? Simply put, think of it as the kind of magic that allows one to control things using words. Apparently word magic is the process of imbuing mana in the words uttered which makes the listener acknowledge them as truth. It seems animals and monsters can be ordered around using word magic. Is it similar to what Miss Schwartz was capable of? No, she had monsters help her by communicating her thoughts to them. But please think of word magic as forcefully robbing someone of their own will. Still, only simple commands work. For example, commands like, attack anyone who comes in, or patrol the area and inform me if you spot someone corresponding to this particular characteristic. That said, even anything that possesses a certain level of intelligence like humans can be controlled as one wishes. However, it would take a great deal of time. If that were to happen to Gray, it would put him in a precarious situation. I have no idea why Lord CLO is privy to details concerning River's magic that even people at the Azalea Academy didn't know, but River's magic encroaches on dangerous territory. We must rescue Gray ASAP. Apricot, can you track him? It's possible if we track the traces of the magic we caught whiff off earlier. I told the priest to inform Cyan, Robot and also Brown to follow after us. Got it. I'll make him rue the day he decides to lay a hand on my son. Come on. Let's go. You. The moment he spotted me, Rivers let go of Gray and turned around to face me with his face filled with hatred. Back at the academy, he always had a smile on his face and treated everyone with kindness, uncharacteristic of a new noble. But no trace of that could be seen in his countenance anymore. So this is his true nature, a Yandra, if I were to borrow Lord Salo's words. Anyway, I wonder if the aggressive demeanor and bloodshot eyes are the true Rivers. You dare show your face to me, Violet Valentine. It's Hartfield now. Get it right. Who cares? Rivers used fire magic, which I've seen him utilize back at the academy. Fire dwells in both his hands and feet as he looks at me menacingly. Maybe it's because he's taken leave of his senses, for he ran his fiery hands across his cheeks and spun his words like he was spewing curses. Finally we meet. You not only troubled Lord Vermilion with something foolish like a duel, you also had the nerve to live in a place like this and be happy with a family. Oh, I see, I'm not particularly pleased to see you, but I'm glad if it makes you happy. Cut the crap. I certainly sense some magic imbued in his words. It's not just because of River's words reverberating through the cave, but it was as if the words themselves carried weight that it made my body go stiff. You are obligated to spend your life atoning for what you did, and you have no right to live happily. That's why I kidnapped Gray to throw me into a pit of despair. Exactly. The flame on his limbs flared up intimidatingly. That's quite the inhuman obligation. It's not as if I'm some kind of enslaved criminal, though I might as well be one to Rivers. Sorry, while I intend to make amends for my past sins, I don't intend to let it rule my life. What did you say? Did you not hear me? I will live my life happily, shamelessly so. You have no place in it. But Gray does. If I were the same person as before, I would have secured Gray's safety in exchange for mine. If he had threatened to harm his eyes, ears, or one of his arms, I may have resorted to negotiation. However, I'm different now. Just as I said to Ms. Robot, I will live happily with my head held high. For which I need Lord CLO. And Gray. To be happy, I need my family that smiled at me. I don't wish to lose them. I could go on, but isn't it hot, your face? I'll kill you. I thought you wanted me to atone for my sins. I'll kill you. I tried to poke the bear, but he was already far beyond the reach of my voice, as he was openly displaying his resolve to attack me. Okay, it doesn't look like he's going to harm Gray. I had a different plan in mind to deal with it if he had, but now I can put an end to this by taking on Rivers. Well then, Rivers' word magic is cause for concern, but as far as magic prowess goes, Rivers fell into either the upper intermediate or lower advanced category. So there's no way I'd lose to him. Don't let your guard down. Keep an eye on Gray. I need to be the one to resolve the problem I created. Kill that woman. However, Rivers completely dashed my expectations. It was as if he was calling out to someone else who was present. I wonder if he's calling for the monsters outside the cave. Unfortunately for you, Lord CLO and the others should have subdued. What? Then, but contrary to what I thought, I could hear heavy footsteps approaching me. I couldn't make out what it was in the dark, but once it got near River's flames, I could see its appearance even if against my will. Gross! I and Gray spoke at the same time, which reverberated through the cave like an echo. Come to think of it, Lord Cielo did warn us that even monsters can be controlled through simple commands, and the longer they are trained, the more complex the commands they can carry out. Meaning, depending on the time spent, the stronger the enforcement of will on the monster. That said, this is still taking it too far. Ha 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 ha. Charge, Lord Vermilion Orc number 7. Slaughter that woman with that noble face of yours. Jaya. The monster that appeared was an orc, a C-class monster. It was somewhat lacking in intellect, but its well-built physique resulted in growing reports of victims every year, and it could truly be a good representation of monsters in general. But that's still okay. Though it would be hard for me to take on both Rivers and the orc at the same time, I can still buy time until Lord Cielo and the others outside join me. I just need to make sure to keep Gray away from harm. However, I do take issue with the monster's appearance. What if it pops up in my and Gray's nightmares? What the hell, Rivers? That's right. The face of the orc is a carbon copy of His Highness. Swole with green-colored skin, tall enough to reach the top of the cave, but its face was disproportionately small and that of His Highness. It looked like the two had been forcefully combined together. Yeah, it's exceedingly gross. Don't worry. You won't be dreaming anymore. Go, Lord Vermilion Orc number 7. Take off. Jaya. I'm sure it's not just my imagination that the orc's roar felt more sad than chilling. Question. Judging from how he's modified a monster to do his dirty work, would it be right to assume that Rivers doesn't have the guts to kill or finish off a person or monster? Answer. Please be patient. Everything will be clear later. Chapter 57. A perverted muscled macho man. Rivers, you bastard. How could you put your beloved's face on an orc? Do you really love His Highness? What are you talking about? Isn't this proof that even a stupid monster can become a wonderful being with Lord Vermilion's face? It's no use, this man is crazy. I thought I'd become used to strange people, but this is the first time I'm seeing someone crazy in this way. You don't seem to understand Lord Vermilion's worth. As I thought, you are not somebody who would be able to love Lord Vermilion. If that's your proof, I'm fine with not loving him. What? Is that really something Lord Vermilion's former fiancée should be saying? Shut up. Shit, this man is so annoying. My tone might be rougher than usual, but frankly speaking, I don't think it can be helped. Who could have imagined that I would be attacked by an orc with the face of His Highness, who I've loved for 10 years? The orc was freely wielding its strength inside this narrow cave. With His Highness' face. It approached me with a war cry, while with His Highness' face. When I attacked it, it looked pained. With His Highness' face. It did everything with His Highness' face. Do you hate me that much, Your Highness? Please calm down, Mother. That's not His Highness. That's not good. This situation is so incomprehensible that my brain decided to reject it, and I almost recognized this orc as His Highness. If not for Gray's voice, I was about to trip into a strange world. I'll give something sweet to him later as thanks. How wonderful. Like I thought, Lord Vermilion Orc N7 that I modified is the closest to the real Lord Vermilion's face. Its face when it's using force, its shouting face, even its face in agony is exactly like Lord Vermilion. He's so noisy I want to shut this man up, but I don't have the luxury to do so. I have a hard time fighting this orc not only because of the location we are at, but also because of how strong it is. I don't know whether Rivers also modified its physical abilities with word magic, but it keeps throwing punches that would leave me severely injured if I get hit. In addition, Gray is also near Rivers, so it's hard to target just him, and if I use weaker magic, it'll be blocked by fire magic. However, I don't know if this is because of the orc's low intelligence, but it's easy to lure it out because it's simply attacking in the direction I'm in. Outbreak water. Ice lighting. Jaya. Then, I froze its feet to slow its movement and gradually inflicted damage to it with Hitandran tactics. It caused His Highness' face to distort, so it was hard to do, but I can't focus on that. I must defeat this orc, if only for Gray's sake. I'm sorry for being late, Lady Violet. Are you Injuwo? What's with this muscly pervert? As I was slowly chipping away at the orc's endurance, Lord Cielo, who had been subjugating the brainwashed monsters outside, ran up to several meters behind me and looked shocked when he saw the orc. I'm sorry, Lord Cielo, I couldn't do it alone. No, that's fine, but what is that? It's an orc that Rivers brainwashed with word magic and modified it to have His Highness face. What kind of hellish modification is this? I don't want to know. Fair enough. Lord Cielo knew about Rivers' magic for some reason, but this brainwashing and modification seemed to have been unexpected for him. He looked as if he was concerned about how to deal with it. The orc also forcefully moved its frozen feet and focused on the two of us as its targets. Phew 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 phew. So your husband, the Lord, is here too. Just bereft. Lord Vermilion Orc number 7. Kill the man first to make her suffer. Jaya Wea. It's coming, Lord Cielo, be careful. Yesku. Seeing His Highness scream like that is really unbearable. Also, your naming sense sucks. Lord Cielo had probably never faced a monster like this. He was having a hard time landing a hit on the orc. However, while he wasn't landing any hits, he wasn't getting hit either, parrying the attacks with minimal movements instead of evading them widely. Thanks to this, the orc's body did not move much, so it was easy for me to aim my magic. However, we were one step short. The orc was rampaging and wielding all its strength in the narrow cave, so even if it was aiming at Lord Cielo, the aftermath of the attack reached me too, and I wasn't able to cast high-tier magic. In order to defeat it, I have to move away and cast high-tier magic. Fu yu fu 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 fu. Now mow him down, Vermi. Flash. The moment Rivers was about to issue another order, an attack that had turned into a beam of light struck the orc. Wah! Why are you here? Short, dark green hair and sharp, almond-shaped eyes. A former classmate with one of the best physical abilities at the academy, Chartreuse had clearly damaged the orc's torso. Rivers, who looked confused by the arrival of the unexpected reinforcement, and the state of his orc, showed a clear weakness. Tisk, it's not stopping, Lady Apricot. Stop with that name. Set, Thanatos. Then Apricot, who had finished casting the spell, followed up with an attack on the orc's body with a dark magic that I had never heard before. The orc's body was pierced through from the wound inflicted by Chartreuse's flash, tearing its body and inflicting an obvious fatal wound to it. After confirming that it had been shot through, Chartreuse, who approached the orc without relaxing his stance, tried to confirm whether it was alive or dead. He took a clear look at the orc's face. Perhaps he couldn't see it well until now because it was dark inside the cave, but Chartreuse's face was filled with shock. Your Highness! Why are you on the orc's body? Did I defeat His Highness who had transformed into a monster? His Highness, you say? Did I just kill a royalty? Ah! Lord Vermilion Orc number 7. No, Lord Vermilio. An agonizing cries resounded. What am I supposed to do with this? Chapter 58. The Assembly of Fighting Force incurs wrath. Hail Amitba Buddha. Hail Amitba Buddha. Rest in peace, former orc. Lord Cielo had clasped his hands together in front of the orc while chanting words I didn't understand. I'll ask him what he was doing later, but for now I have to calm down these two, who've been looking at the orc's remains with an expression I've never seen on their faces before. Calm down, Apricot Calvin. This orc was modified by Rivers. It's not His Highness. Is that true, Lady Violet? You're not lying just to console me, right? Yeah. Rather, if it was actually His Highness, I would have gladly joined hands with you to put him out of his misery. Fufufu, don't underestimate me, Valentine. Two have not fallen enough to need consolation from you. Don't stutter if that's what you actually think. Wait, does Chartreuse still think that the orc is His Highness? He's shaking as if he's done something deserving of death. No, it's true that this orc has His Highness face, and if I were in Chartreuse's position, I might have reacted the same way. How dare you? How dare you kill Lord Vermilion? How could you kill the orc with the face of my beloved Lord Vermilion? Ah, but he's beautiful like this too. Really? Alright, now that the orc is gone, it's time to silence him. Chartreuse and Apricot, who rushed over to help us, are mentally unstable and can't be counted on as a fighting force, and Lord CLO is. How do you cast this word magic? Lord CLO was looking at the orc's corpse as if he had noticed something. Until a while ago, he was creeped out by the unbalanced-looking orc, but now, he looked as if he had some questions about River's magic. However, he immediately realized that it wasn't the time for it, and turned to face Rivers. Roshenna Rivers, you have no intention of being caught quietly, do you? We came here after subjugating monsters in the vicinity. You understand the difference in our strength, right? Lord CLO told him that if he stayed obedient, his crimes would be lighter. Though, he would need to raise his hands to avoid provoking further action, and showing that he has no intention of attacking. Lord CLO was trying to avoid making Rivers feel cornered, so he wouldn't attack Gray, as if hoping to go through to him as much as possible with a conversation. Not yet, it's not over yet. I've gathered all my forces for this day. Besides, my word magic works on the half-dead too. Wake up. But his attempt ended in vain. Rivers increased the fire that dwelled inside him, and gave an order containing stronger mana than I've felt until now. Then the orc, which should have been mortally wounded, moved slightly and tried to get up. I couldn't sense any will behind its actions. It was literally just a moving body. Lord CLO. Yes, this presence is the same as before. In addition, the presence of monsters around us was becoming stronger. Perhaps I'm sensing something strange mixed in because there are some monsters here that are being made to move forcefully like the orc, even though they shouldn't be able to move. Just how crazy is this guy? Phew. I don't have to defeat you guys in a battle, I just have to buy enough time. Boy, if I have you, they can't touch me. You! Rivers laughed loudly and approached the makeshift prison where Gray was, while Apricot and Chartreuse panicked at the change in the situation. They quickly took a stance to intercept him. I also turned my gaze around to try and grasp the monsters approaching us from the surroundings, trying to understand them as much as possible. Assuming that Cyan will do something about the surrounding monsters. I see. You were going to set them on Lady Violet. You would be setting all your fighting force on her. Oh. Lord CLO was the only one who didn't change his stance, only lowering his arms and muttering something quietly. He checked the surroundings. Then he confirmed that the orc was standing between us and Rivers. Sorry, orc. He literally kicked the orc away. Huh. Instead of floating up, the orc's body glided straight about 10 centimeters off the ground, as if it was a light object that had just been thrown. It hit the wall next to Rivers opposite of where Gray was. The aftershock echoed loudly inside the cave. Everybody lost their balance, unable to stand properly. In that moment, only Lord CLO kicked off the ground and quickly closed the distance between him and Rivers. Don't MO. Too slow. Faster than Rivers could compel him to act with word magic, Lord CLO grabbed Rivers by the neck with his right hand. He then tightened it so that he couldn't speak. So quick. Lord CLO's speed in that moment was so fast that it made Chartreuse become wary of him despite being his ally. I knew that Lord CLO had excellent physical abilities, but I had never seen him this fast before. Lady Violet or Apricot, can either of you use silence? Sir Chartreuse, I'm sorry, but can you dispel the prison and put Gray's magic sealing handcuffs on Rivers? Whenever Rivers tried to cast magic, Lord CLO would tighten his hand and block him from invoking magic. He did so while making a request to us in a calm voice, once which I have never heard before. Chartreuse and I were dumbfounded, but only Apricot understood the situation, and approached Lord CLO to cast silence on Rivers. Is she used to this? Although it took us a little time to wake up, we followed Apricot's suit, and approached the prison to dispel it and remove magic sealing handcuffs. Should I ask Ms. Nephrite? The words Lord CLO muttered quietly were drowned out by the surrounding noise. Chapter 59, Just Getting Started. Gray, are you alright? After destroying the cell bars and placing the magic sealing handcuffs on Rivers, the first thing I did was check on Gray. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you, Mo Lady Violet. Perhaps Gray realized that Chartreuse was within earshot, for he swallowed the mother that almost escaped his lips and addressed me with propriety. Ignoring the fact that it saddened me, I was more concerned about Gray's condition. I checked if he had been brainwashed using word magic or had any other kind of magic cast on him. He did seem fine at a glance, but it would be a good idea to have the priest take a look at him later just in case. The only other thing that worried me. Gray, did he do anything weird to you? For instance, did he ever look at you like Mr. Bly does? I don't think so, but I'm also not quite sure what you mean. Lady Violet, I understand where you're coming from, but please calm down. There's certainly a possibility that Rivers had untoward intentions. Gray may be androgynous, but he's cute. There's no telling if Rivers wouldn't have tried anything after locking him up and sealing his magic. All right. His clothes aren't in disarray, nor can I find any strange traces. Good. Valentine, it's all well and good that you're concerned, but would you pay more attention to what's going on around you? It's Hartfield. I'll admit you have a point. While I was preoccupied with Gray, Chartreuse chastised me by way of caution. Right, as a result of Rivers ordering all the monsters, including the ones in the vicinity, to wake up, the monsters under his control were running wild. There aren't any approaching this place, meaning Miss Cyan and the others are dealing with them. So we are fine for now, but there's no saying when the monsters will come at us too. I need to be vigilant. Roshenna, spit out the details on how many and what kind of monsters you let loose. Oh. Lord CLO drew closer and attempted to extract information from him, but he gestured as if greatly exasperated that the silence spell I cast on him had rendered him mute even if he wished to speak. His face pisses me off. The effects of the spell have worn off by now, and I'm sure you can speak. I don't know what went through Lord Silo's mind after seeing his response, for he sighed and punched the closest wall of the cave, and when his fist sunk into the wall, he pulled out a rock and crushed it to bits. Upon seeing which, Chartreuse took on a defensive stance against Lord CLO. I see. I suppose there's no other choice if you won't talk. In the process of apprehension, my hand slipped and you got hurt. At least that's how the story will go. There really is no other choice. If you thought a simple threat like that would work on me, I'll pull out all the hair on the orc's head before your very eyes. After which, I'll proceed to doodle on its head. All right. I'll comply, so please don't. Rivers folded just like that. Lord CLO is great at hitting someone where it hurts. Based on the information we got from Rivers, we subjugated the rest of the monsters and moved on to undoing Rivers' brainwashing. We regrouped with Miss Cyan, the priest, and the others. After sharing the information with them, everyone did their part in making sure Shiki would remain unharmed. Seeing as how this whole incident was orchestrated by an Azalea Academy student, Ash and the rest of the students also helped out in dealing with the aftermath. I never imagined you could go this far, Rivers. In the middle of the cleanup, I requested Lord CLO to be put on guard duty for monitoring Rivers. I really needed to have a conversation with him about the kidnapping incident. Though his magic is sealed and he is bound, Lord CLO was still concerned for my safety. As such, he's standing watch from a distance. I don't understand why Lord Chartreuse and Lord Ash are helping a woman like her. I thought you were pining after His Highness Vermilion. Why, how are you trying to tell them they forgave her? Something doesn't add up. I don't get it. To be exact, they are only helping because of the problem he caused, but Rivers takes it as them helping me on behalf of His Highness. In other words, he equates opposing him, as he tries to throw me in a pit of despair, to them taking my side. I had no idea he was this kind of a guy back when we were in the academy, but I wonder if loving someone means that you could lose your mind like this. I don't expect you, Austin or Calvin, to forgive me anytime soon. I will atone for my wrongdoings, and I'll have you do so for yours, Rivers. I'm not trying to sweep everything under the rug like it never happened, as I said earlier. I don't expect His Highness or her to forgive me, and even if they did, society certainly wouldn't. Nor would my parents. Let me ask you one last thing, Valentine. It's Hartfield. What is it? I wonder what Rivers felt upon hearing me, for he stopped mumbling the same word under his breath and his expression and tone reverted to that of his from back when we were in the academy as he asked me a question. Is that man supposed to be your rebound after High Highness Vermilion? That's an awful way of putting it. Answer me. Are you clinging on to him because he accepted you? That only makes it sound like I'm going where the wind takes me. Maybe he's not wrong. Be that as it may, I went through the same thing with Ash. Is it so hard to understand? The answer is simple. His Highness never loved me till the end, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I loved him or that I love Lord Cielo and Grey, that they are both precious to me. Because if I keep letting my past bog me down and refuse to look forward, I might end up making many people miserable. I see. I don't know how he took my answer, and he might still be feeling hostility towards me, but Rivers responded as if convinced. It's hot. Some distance away, Lord Cielo was tugging at his shirt in an attempt to fan himself. Did all the physical activity raise his body temperature? I wonder if I should prepare a refreshing meal for him later. Making a mental note to do just that, I switched to thinking about what to do going forward. Starting with Grey, I ended up inconveniencing a lot of people this time, and I can't guarantee it won't happen again. People with a grudge against me or ones that act thinking it was to the benefit of His Highness could pop up anytime. I would end up making trouble for many people like that matter with the report that was delivered just before Grey disappeared. To make things better even a little, I need to come up with a plan. What? No, please wait a second, you can't just walk up. Right now, not yet. But, I'm worried hurt or something. And as I stood watch over Rivers, thinking what to do from this point forward, I heard Lord Cielo talking with someone. Judging from the voice, it sounded like one of the female students, but even when I looked in his direction, I couldn't make her out as the wall of the cave cast a shadow on Lord Cielo. No, that is a familiar voice from my days in the academy. There's no way I could forget it. Hang on. There you are, Violet. Are you okay? A young girl evaded Lord Cielo, slipped past him and ran up, calling out to me. A girl with long blonde hair with a red tinge and distinctive, almost transparent eyes. Someone I talked with a lot in Azalea Academy. A commoner classmate I knew all too well ran up to me with her face full of concern. She is. Chapter 60. She is the one and only. Kriemhild. The person who came running towards me was a commoner classmate with reddish golden hair and characteristic near-transparent eyes, who treated everyone cheerfully and had many things that I lacked. It was Kriemhild, whom I tried to distance myself from and warned many times to not act familiar with me. However, she still kept talking to me and being friendly despite the matter with His Highness and all other classmates drifting away from me. Oh, I see. So she also came to Shiki for the investigation. Things got rough at that time, but this girl's smile is as dazzling as ever, and she possesses something that I don't have. I'm jealous of her now, but I'm not envious. It's been a while, Kriemhild. Have you been in good health? Ahaha, yeah, I'm fine. I greeted Kriemhild with the smile that was often on my face ever since I came to Shiki. My smile is probably awkward, but someday I want to interact with people with a natural smile like Lord Cielo and Kriemhild, although her smile also tends to be awkward at times. I'm glad that you look fine too, Vi. I was worried because you suddenly disappeared from the academy while I went back home. Besides, there was also a kidnapping and I heard from Ash that you marched into the kidnapper's place alone. I'm sorry about leaving the academy. I didn't have much time at that time. Were you that worried about me? Of course. If my friend disappeared, I'd feel lonely and worried. I see, thank you. This girl is really dazzling and kind. She can do her best for others and she even calls somebody like me her friend. I'm sure that if she hadn't gone back home when I was dueling that woman, she'd have stood by my side regardless of our positions, though the way I was back then, I might have rejected her even if she had proclaimed herself as my ally. Besides, didn't I tell you that Roshenna was dangerous? There was something suspicious about the way he was looking at His Highness Vermilion. Kriemhild said while glancing at Rivers. Now that I think about it, I was able to determine the sender of the letter because Kriemhild said that he was suspicious. There's something lustful in his gaze, is what she said. But at that time I couldn't bring myself to believe her. You said that the way I looked at Lord Vermilion was suspicious. Don't be stupid. I've only been looking at him with pure envy. I don't think it counts as pure if that's your own evaluation. She's absolutely right. Would somebody who looked at him purely with envy change an orc's face to that of His Highness? No, calm down, Violet. That's impossible. Humph. You wouldn't understand my feelings of respect. Then what would you think if I said I think of myself as a pure pretty maiden while winking? Would you think that I was pure? Even if it was a fact, the moment you become aware of it, you're no longer pure. That's how it is. Rivers hung his head at Kriemhild's words. She shows this kind of side sometimes. I don't know if I should call her strong or tough. Please wait. Then somebody called out to us while we were talking. When we looked at the questioning person who had called out to us, we found Lord CLO with his hand on his forehead, desperately trying to understand the situation. Excuse me, may I ask a question? Is she, not the person who you dueled at the academy, Lady Violet? A duel? Are you sure you don't mean a mock battle during training? Yes, I'm talking about a duel with His Highness at stake. You're wrong. There is no reason for me to duel Vi. Why does Lord CLO look as if he can't make a sense of what's happening? Besides, I would never challenge her to a duel. It's not like she ensnared His Highness and the others just like that woman, is it like this? Oh. Did you misunderstand that Kriemhild was the person I dueled because she also uses alchemy magic? Oh, I see. That girl also uses alchemy magic just like me. The opponent I dueled also used alchemy magic like Kriemhild. Since Lord CLO only knows that I dueled a girl who uses alchemy magic, and because alchemy magic is also rare, Lord CLO must have mistook Kriemhild for my opponent. Maybe the female student who wanted to see me was Kriemhild. That's why he said it was a girl who was involved in the duel. You're right. Now that I think about it, I might have made a judgment without knowing her well. So that's why you were reluctant to let me meet Vi. Now that I think about it, I haven't properly introduced myself to you. As expected, she's the one who wanted to meet me. And Lord CLO was trying to divert her attention and avoid letting us meet. Does that mean that my duel opponent hasn't arrived in Shiki? Although I'm sure we'll meet again someday. My name is Kriemhild Nephrite. I'm from the countryside from the outskirts of the kingdom, and I'm good at alchemy magic. But I'm still in training. I'm 148 centimeters tall. But nowadays I've been thinking that I'd like to be a little taller. I'm also technically looking for a boyfriend. Honestly, I'm envious of Vi because of her height and her husband. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Yes, pleased to meet you. Giving a salute that didn't suit her, but she introduced herself in a way that gave a good idea of her personality, despite not being asked. She said that she wanted to be taller, but I don't think she cares about her height too much. If I remember correctly, she once said something about using it to her advantage because she could look up naturally. Kriemhild, as a lady, I don't think it's appropriate to appeal that you're looking for a partner. No, Vi. Love is war. If I'm not proactive, a good partner will quickly be taken by somebody with higher specs. I think you get hit on quite a lot though. Kriemhild is cute and she has many male friends, including the nobles. So, I think she's hit on quite often. At that time I thought that she was acting improperly, but now I think that it's a part of her charm, so I think she'll find the good partner she's talking about. Even if you say that, I'm often told you're a good friend but I can't see you as a woman. Who said that? You're overflowing with feminine charm. They say that it's scary to see me make bombs with alchemy magic and kill monsters. Ah. You think the same too, Vi? It's true that her physical abilities are a little above the average human girl, but in terms of combat abilities, if she can use weapons made with alchemy magic, she's honestly strong. Oh. Even her lovely ahaha smile can be seen as her maniacally laughing if she does it in the middle of the battlefield while killing somebody. That's why I was happy when Mr. Kaki confessed to me. Anybody but that man. Tell him that you'll blow him up with a bomb if he approaches you again. He'll probably survive it though. Do you have a grudge against him? Or more importantly, he'd survive it? I don't have a grudge against him, but I just know that that guy isn't a good choice. And I have enough faith in his mysterious durability to know that he'd survive after being hit by a bomb. Oops. I have to do something about the monsters that are being controlled. Now that I've confirmed that you're fine, I'll be going, Vi. Let's talk later. Yeah, talk to you later. Kriemhild waved and left with the same carefree smile. I wonder if Lord CLO would be happy if I acted like her. Maybe I should try it next time. What's happening? Was it my misunderstanding? The only thing that bothered me was the fact that Lord CLO had. There was a complicated expression on his face. Don't tell me. Are you cheating on me, Lord CLO? Huh. Absolutely not. Author's note. Kriemhild nephrite. Cream-colored hair and near-transparent nephrite-colored eyes. CLO didn't misunderstand anything. She's the real heroine of the Otome game. When the ring of fire is lit, world is dyed red. However, she seems to be close with Violet, the Villainess. She has no default name in the game. The one friend Violet mentioned in Chapter 6 was referring to her. She can use alchemy magic, which is rare in this world. Chapter 61. Is it a deviation or are we fine? Oh. The girl I know is positive and straightforward. The girl I know is someone who would fall deep in love. A love that transcends social status with a noble or the future king. She would protect her loved one from an assassin, improve her alchemy magic with the help of her love interest, and borrow the strength of many people to defeat the sealed dragon to save the kingdom from the crisis. She would have her feats acknowledged, sometimes even becoming a princess or a court alchemist. It would be different if I was simply told that she was different from who I knew. Somehow, I was feeling a different kind of discrepancy. As if somebody else was sitting in her position. As if paint had been spilled into clean water. There would be no problems with this change because the shape would remain the same, but I shouldn't leave it alone. That's how I felt. She was definitely strong and excellent. In Azalea Academy, only 2 people, including her, could use alchemy magic, and she had a promising future ahead of her as one of the best alchemists in the kingdom. While many people, mostly nobles, frowned at the way she treated nobles and commoners equally, those who knew her well would say that this was a part of her personality that shouldn't have been discarded, even if it meant creating more enemies for her. That was the kind of a small human girl she was. That's the way she is. While she may seem unstable in a way, she has the strength to overcome obstacles. That was Ash's opinion of her. Yesterday I was busy dealing with the brainwashed monsters, and today, the students are going back to the Azalea Academy. So, I asked Ash about Ms. Nephrite, Ms. Kriemhild, while doing a report. When I asked him about how she behaved at the academy, I got the aforementioned answer, but it seems that Ms. Kriemhild, His Highness Chartreuse and Ash seem to only interact with each other because they're classmates. They all naturally attract attention, but they don't seem to be very close. The reason I think so is because most of his evaluation was accompanied with, from what I've heard, and when I asked him if she was close to His Highness and him, he gave me a strange look and told me that she was most likely closer to Lady Violet. It's possible that he's just not telling me the whole truth, but he assured me as His Highness valet, she wasn't close to him, though it could be just to avoid spreading strange rumors. Still, he looked as if he truly didn't understand why I would think so. Sir Ash, I apologize for inconveniencing you regarding this matter. No, it's an unforgivable scandal that a student of our academy would commit such a crime. I am the one who has to apologize. Please raise your head. Ash bowed to me apologetically. Considering our social statuses, it's unthinkable for a marquis like Ash to bow to a baron like me, and knowing his personality, it's even more unthinkable. In Ring of Fire, unless you're in Ash's route or the true route, he's the type of the person who'll only apologize on the surface to somebody who's of lower status than him. Even if he were in a bad position, he would only apologize shallowly, make enough amends so that other people wouldn't be able to complain and get it over with. He would never truly lower his head to anybody. I only swear loyalty to His Highness and the royal family. It's impossible for me to lower my head to anybody other than them. Although you can't tell at a glance, his personality is embedded with the status system of the noble society, even though it is not obvious at a glance. When the player enters his route, he begins to change his mind about the difference in status. As a graduate myself, I would be troubled if bad rumors spread about Azalea Academy, so I don't mind keeping things a secret. However, I would like for Roshenna Rivers to atone for his crimes. Please rest assured. My family will take full responsibility to punish this unforgivable crime. We will teach him that his actions, which he claimed came from his love for His Highness, were nothing but an illusion, whether he likes it or not. Oh yeah, this is the Ash I know. Due to his pride as a noble, he will not overlook the misconduct of other nobles. Roshenna will be punished in a fitting manner, and the Rivers family will fall, in a way that cannot be mentioned. Rip. Okay. I will leave it to you. Please be gentle with him. Ha ha ha, I know. I see, ha ha. Yes, please leave it to me. Ha ha. Ash's laughter was scary enough to make me worry instead. Meanwhile, I also have to keep in mind that Roshenna could be Ash's assassin, but from the looks of it, it would be hard to get close to the captured Roshenna. By the way, Baron Hartfield. Vale, no, there is one thing I would like to say. Yes, please go ahead. Ash said that he was going to check on the captured Roshenna and make a final check before returning to the academy, but before cutting off the conversation and leaving, he decided to say something else, as if he just remembered it. It's probably about Lady Violet. He might have been undecided the other day, but I'm sure that hates Lady Violet. I wonder if he's going to tell me to be careful like Chartreuse. Please take good care of your wife. I pray that you two will live happy lives. Or not. Words that came out of Ash's mouth were completely different from what I had imagined. Is anything wrong? No, I'm sorry. With all due respect, I was sure you hated Lady Violet, Sir Ash. Your words were so unexpected, I was taken aback. Yes, I haven't forgiven her for what she has done, and I would never take her side. However, in response to my brutally honest words, Ash gave me a gentle smile unlike his scary smile from before, and replied, I'm not such a bad person that I would deny a woman's happiness. Who do I want to protect with this sword? Oh, that person hasn't come to Shiki, but she's a wonderful girl. I'm going to hone my skills so I won't lose to Ash and His Highness. Those were Chartreuse's words. It doesn't feel like she refers to Ms. Kriemhild at least. I wonder if he was able to acquire his sword technique that can only be achieved in his route or the true route thanks to that wonderful girl. By the way, Ms. Kriemhild only calls Chartreuse by his nickname, which is reserved for his close friends due to her bright personality. Thus she calls him Cher, as though it was the natural thing to do. On the other hand, Chartreuse calls Ms. Kriemhild by her last name out of concern for the girl he wants to protect. By the way, Baron, will you spar with me? How, why? I saw that you aren't an ordinary person when you kicked away that orc. Please cooperate with me for the sake of my sword path. This damn battle freak. Is fighting the only thing on your mind? Later I'll ask Ash to take over. Or rather, what's the use of fighting when you're going back to the academy? Are you planning to catch up to them by running later? It's scary because I feel like he'd actually say it. I'm sorry, Sir Chartreuse. The one that kicked that orc away was actually a power called Great Godabuki. It temporarily gives me powers by manipulating curses, and I can't use it unless something serious happens. In truth, I'd actually just enhanced my leg strength. My current physical abilities aren't much different from when I was a teen in my previous life. As expected, I'm not strong enough to kick an orc away without any help. Still, body strengthening can be used immediately and he might ask me to duel him right this moment. Due to the difference in our status, it would be hard to refuse him. So I thought I'd make up something randomly to evade him, but I see, then it can't be helped. I look forward to the day we'll eventually fight. This future Knight Commander candidate really believed me. Well, there's certainly magic that can transform mystical things like that into power, but isn't he a bit too gullible? He didn't pull back because he sensed that I was hesitant, but rather because he believed me. I'm sorry. Perhaps when another chance arises one day. Yeah, I'll be in your care that time. Oh right. I'm actually scheduled to fight that sister after this. Would you like to come too, Baron? Pardon. What is this guy talking about? That sister's pretty capable as well. I've got Ash's permission to spar with her once before we go back to the academy. Heh, I'm looking forward to it. Please wait a minute. By sister you mean Cyan? You're going to fight Cyan. There are no other sisters in the area, right? Man, with people like the blacksmith and Lady Apricot, I can't help but think that Shiki is a good place. It's this time already? Well then, I'm off to the dueling ground. I will be going ahead. Please wait a minute. Chartreuse left at a great speed as I remained still. Were you looking forward to it that much, you bastard? Judging from the direction where he's going, they'll probably fight in front of the church. Rather, why wasn't I told about this? Huh, was Ashes please be happy a lie? So he'll still harass me regardless. Mr. CLO, tell me more about that great Godabuki. Can I use it too? Shit, another pain in the ass appeared too. I want to ask Chartreuse a little more about this person who he wants to protect, so why is everybody getting in my way? Is this some divine intervention by powers that be? Are they telling me that I have no right to know about the game scenario? Author's note. He's wrong. Chapter 62, Arising Emotions. Two kinds of protagonists could be found in light novels. The kind with little to no personality, thereby making it easier for players to insert themselves into the story. The kind with an overbearing personality, coupled with a storyline between the protagonist and their love interests that players can enjoy. As my sister would say, the two kinds can be distinguished as experience it yourself or revere the characters. In the Ring of Fire, the protagonist belongs to the latter category. If the protagonist had no personality, the event pictures would end up with the protagonist wearing a blank expression. Instead, all event pictures had proper expressions and the choices were also very quirky. The actions and words of the protagonist's personality charms the love interests and their fates intertwined. At a certain stage, the protagonist would even duel with High Highness Vermilion despite being allies, saying, "I respect you. I'm not your inferior. I wish to be your equal and walk alongside you, which is why I'm giving it all I got." Uttering cool lines like that, the protagonist would try to throw a punch at some instances. If such a character was labeled as having no personality, then the majority of protagonists would end up being bland. Though there are hard times, there are fun times as well. Living in Shiki is not too bad. I see. Home is where you make it, as they say. At present, a girl with a strong personality as the protagonist was happily listening to Lady Violet speak. I was thinking of asking her about the other alchemist mage. I wanted to check out how different she was from the girl I knew. But it was really hard to break the ice, let alone get any information out of her. I've been the only one talking. Simply listening to me go on about my life must be boring. Not at all. Hearing you recount your tales with so much excitement is infectious, so I'm having fun. Really? I have to say you're not only a good talker, but a good listener as well. You think so? Seeing the two of them talking animatedly, they didn't look in the least on bad terms. Committing deeds high society would find appalling. Envious of her closeness with her beloved prince and being unable to bear it any longer, she bids farewell to the world. I could see none of those emotions between the two. They are genuinely very close friends. Sorry. I'm a bit busy settling affairs after the Rivers incident. I hope you won't mind if I step away for a moment. Yeah, that's okay. Sorry. There are things that must be kept confidential in cases like these. Of course. But you give off the air of a woman who can get the job done, and I find that cool. Lady Violet chucked and replied, "Shucks, Miss Creamhild," and bid her goodbye with a thumbs up. All right. Miss Creamhild is alone now. I can probably try to strike up a conversation with her now. But I don't know. I feel like it makes me look really suspicious to sneak a conversation with a woman alone. If Lady Violet were to see us, she may think we were having an affair or a tryst. I should wrap it up quickly. Miss Creamhild, may I have a moment of your time? Yes? Mr. CLO. Hello. Miss Creamhild recognized my face and greeted me with a smile. I really doubt her claims of being unpopular. Though I wonder if there are many that misunderstand her friendly nature. In the story, His Highness and the others protected her though. Incidentally, she began calling me by my name as my surname overlapped with Lady Violet's, which led to me going by first name basis too. This is how we started referring to each other casually. Let me thank you once again for being such good friends with my wife. I couldn't be more happy that my wife had such a good friend by her side in the academy. Not at all. I'm the one who should be grateful that a duke's daughter made friends with a commoner like me. Oh. Is something wrong? What's with the incomprehensible expression you're making while looking at me? It's nothing. I was simply touched that Lady Violet had a friend of her age. Please continue to be friends with her. Of course that's the plan, but is that really so touching? I was of the impression that she'd had no friends at the academy. I'm guessing Lady Violet back then didn't have the most pleasant of personalities. Besides His Highness, I suppose she was on speaking terms with Ashen Chartreuse too, but that's probably as far as their relationship went. But she was always surrounded by many students, you know? This is just my guess, but if I were to give them a name it would be followers. Ahaha. Miss Creamhild couldn't disagree, so she just laughed drily. Yeah, that's why I'm touched. There's certainly a lot of things I don't know, like the identity of her duel partner, but I'm happy to stand corrected in regards to her having had someone she could call a friend at the academy. At the risk of offending you, do you mind if you ask you something? No problem. Go ahead. At my approval, Miss Creamhild looked as if my face had sparked a memory in her and asked, subdued, have you been taking advantage of the fact that Violet is innocent to teach her something perverted? I haven't. I have to give it to her for being gutsy enough to ask a noble something like that, even if I'm only a noble in name. In the game Ring of Fire, it's true that there was one ending where they hinted at Lady Violet suffering at the hands of a pervert, but I want to clarify that I haven't done anything of the sort. Forgive me. Violet is innocent and she can also be clumsy, so I was worried that she might be pulled into doing something weird. So even Miss Creamhild had the same opinion of her. It's quite all right. It's only natural that you're concerned. I'm aware that I don't have a stellar reputation, and if my friend married such a man, anyone would be worried. If we're talking about the capital, then I'm sure there's more than one unsavory rumor circulating about me. Well, not like I can say my reputation here is that solid either. When anyone learns that their friend had left for a place like that, of course they'd be worried. So I'd be glad if the conversation she had earlier had quelled her worries even just a little. Well, I'm worried that the next time I meet Violet, she'll be wearing a cloak and laughing out loud or get excited at the sight of a wound or ingest poison of her own volition or have a mechanical body like robot. Oh, why are you looking away? Shit, I find it hard to deny any of that. I'm frustrated that settling into Shiki means that you become perverted in one way or another. Perhaps that's being a pervert means? Surely not. Ahaha, but I'm glad that she appears happy. Please continue to treat her well. Saying so, Miss Creamhild smiled as she wished us happiness. Her eyes that were looking up due to the difference in our height, and her smile that lit up her whole face had quite the charm. But I don't know why. For some reason I felt a sense of déjà vu, or rather that something was off with her smile. A smile that made me wonder if she really did normally smile that way. However, it was just a smile after all. I think everything looks suspicious only because I doubted her before. Oh right. Mr. Cielo. I thought you needed something from me. Oof, I wonder if she found it fishy that I went out of my way to come here to talk to her, for she had a curious look on her face. I cleared my throat, and after checking that no one was within earshot, I asked Miss Creamhild, at a volume only she could hear, about the duel, or rather, about the opponent of the duel that I didn't know of. About the person Lady Violet dueled against. I'm sure you'd agree it's a little awkward to ask about that to the people directly involved. Miss Creamhild nodded, folded her arms, looking convinced. After a brief struggle to find the right words, she unfolded her arms and spoke about that girl. She was also a pupil of my master and learned alchemy magic from him. She's also well versed in other types of magic, with both her physical abilities and alchemy magic being second to none. She's very beautiful and popular at the academy. Should I say I knew it? After all, this information makes it certain that something was amiss. The reason there are only a few alchemy mages is because you need the specific talent for it, and also since it is almost obsolete, there are very few left with the knowledge to teach anyone. In our kingdom, there is no one who professionally practices alchemy magic. Moreover, Miss Creamhild's master has a difficult personality and rarely takes in a disciple, and even she was only taught the basics in her childhood. Even taking a pupil was supposed to be unusual for him. After all, her master was described to be eccentric, and she was described as his only disciple. But if that girl really was taught by the same master, Then is this world simply only similar to the game Ring of Fire? After all, the same events may not necessarily repeat? Or, by the way, is that girl good friends with His Highness Vermilion, Lord Ashe, Lord Chartreuse, and even the son of the Forsyths? Yes, she is indeed close with all the people you just mentioned. I see. The Forsyth in question is called Eccles Forsyth, the eldest son of the Count Forsyth and also one of the love interests in the game Ring of Fire. All the people I mentioned are prominent figures at the Academy, and if that girl is really so remarkable, then it should be no surprise that they would have crossed paths. All I've heard is stories about her and I don't know anything for certain, but her actions, or rather, her circumstances, are suspicious no matter how I look at them. This is something I heard from staff at the Academy, but did she by chance fall into the lake at the Academy with His Highness while the class was still in session, get rescued after being attacked by a wounded B-class monster some distance away from the Academy, slap Lord Ashe? Was that girl the one involved in all these incidents? Yes, that's her all right. That brings back memories. Perhaps that girl is the same as me, a reincarnator. Examples of choices when the protagonist has a strong personality. 3 choices. Fight. Sneak into his bedroom. Sneak into his bath. Chapter 63. That's why, if you try to do harm. Is Lady Violet's dual opponent a reincarnator? I don't know how to express this, but I feel like the girl who's good friends with His Highness and his group is acting with full knowledge of their backgrounds and the consequences of her actions. It is as if she's only acting for her benefit and taking advantage of her surroundings. Of course, this might not entirely be true, so it's better to keep the words of the third party only as a reference. As long as the words of the third party are subjective, they can't convey the truth as it is. Is something wrong, Mr. Cielo? No, it's nothing. Thank you for letting me know, Miss Creamhild. I'll have to keep in mind the possibility that she's a reincarnator if we ever have a chance to meet or if she tries to harm us, but there's no need to think about it too hard right now. Also, I thought Miss Creamhild was the heroine, but there's a chance that the girl in question is the heroine instead. If I remember right, the heroine didn't have a default name anyway. I'm younger than you and also a commoner, so would you please stop with the polite tone? Being a commoner aside, you are our guest. We must be sensible about that. Oh, what's wrong? Well, the nobles I know are not so soft-spoken with the commoners, even if they are guests. I was just thinking that it's a bit unexpected. Oh, I'm sorry, it was rude of me. Haha, I don't mind. It's true that many nobles are like that, so I don't mind being told that I'm different from them. It's just that in my previous life, I lived alone with my sister in a one-room apartment, and as somebody who's a commoner by nature, the way of the noble society doesn't suit me. Well, it's not like I'm very good at polite talk either. I just find it easier to talk with honorifics even if I'm not that good at it, because it's less offensive. Speaking of which, how should I decide the timing of when to start getting on more casual terms with Lady Violet? I've been keeping up polite language with her for some reason, but it might be better to speak more frankly with her. Oh, now that I think about it, I forgot to ask this. By the way, what's that girl's name? When I tried to ask that girl's name at the end. You two get along well. Lady Violet appeared, staring at us. For some reason, I felt prickling thorns in her words. I'm not going to ask her why she's looking at us like that. Yeah, from her perspective, it looks like her husband is having a secret conversation with her classmate. It's not surprising for her to be suspicious. No, don't mind me. Creamhild is a charming girl. It's no wonder that you would be attracted to her, Lord Cielo. I will admit that she's a charming girl, but please rest assured that I'm not cheating on you. I've heard that the second prince is also a loving person. He's a so-called giver. His Highness also preferred another ugh. Why would you open up your own old wounds? If I get nervous here, I'll seem even more suspicious, and it's not like I'm cheating in the first place, so there's no need to panic. I already have my hands and heart full of happiness from having one family. Also, it's not allowed for people to have concubines when they have wives unless they're royalty, and I don't want to have them either. Besides, it reminds me of my mother from previous life. I think harems are amazing, but I definitely don't want to be a part of it. I definitely get stabbed. Foo-foo, I'm joking. I'm not going to tie you down, so don't worry. Saying so, Lady Violet made a small smile. Now that I look at her, I think Lady Violet has changed a lot. When she first came to Shiki, her actions lacked common sense sometimes, but she didn't make expressions like this often. I'd be happy if this was the result of coming to Shiki. Well, there are still times when she acts outrageously even now though. Wow, not only did Vi make a joke, she's also jealous. I felt like Miss Creamhill muttered something quietly behind my back. Perhaps noticing that as well, Lady Violet gave her a puzzled look. Did you say anything, Creamhill? Nope, nothing at all. I was just thinking that you're really a married woman now, Vi. I see. My classmate is a married woman. It kinda sounds lewd. Sometimes you really say the weirdest things. You think so? The situation itself sounds like a title of some novel from my previous life. Generally, in the kingdom, people get married when they graduate from school, but when you reach adulthood at the age of 15, you can get married so it's possible for your classmates to be husbands or wives. Oh right. Vi, Mr. Cielo. Can I ask you something? Yes, please go ahead. What's wrong? I don't know what Miss Creamhill thought when she looked at us, but she spun around once and asked with a sharp look on her face, was that spin really necessary? Are you happy in your marriage? It was a very simple question and a bit embarrassing to ask seriously. The earnest expression on her face told me that she wasn't teasing us, and was honestly asking if her friend was happy. There was a lot of confusion in the beginning at the very least. However, that question made me feel strange. Lady Violet's dual opponent, the situation surrounding Miss Creamhill, the fate of this world and the woman who has captivated His Highness and the others. Unlike what I thought I knew, many things are shrouded in mystery. If I'm able to be like this because of something I don't know or the actions of somebody I don't know, it's true that I'm happy to be here with Lady Violet right now. I felt that I had to be grateful that I was able to meet Lady Violet. It seems that I love this life more than I thought. Chapter 64. Hurry up and make progress by Navy. Cielo, you traitor. Get lost. That was close. Lord Cielo. How what? The sister, who prefers to preach with corporal punishment, came at me directly from the front at super high speed and threw a faintly glowing fist at me. What on earth does she want? And she's really underestimating me if she's using her fists against me despite kicks being her specialty. If you're going to attack anyway, might as well do it with something you're good at. After confirming that I had evaded, Cyan laughed, as if to say that she had expected me to evade an attack of that level. She straightened her appearance and started explaining why she tried to punch me out of nowhere. I hated seeing you smile happily. That's all. Don't you? That's all me. Don't worry. I used the backside of my fist. Fists don't have back sides. Since it was glowing faintly, she must have also been using healing magic at the same time. But violence is still bad. I wish she didn't use the "I might hit you but if I also heal you it'll be ±0 so it's all fine" reasoning to punch people. If she was trying to punch me seriously, I wouldn't have been able to dodge it, so I can understand that she came at me with a speed that I could evade, but I was still spooked. Lady Violet seems to have gotten used to it to some extent, but Miss Creamhill looks like she has no idea what in the world just happened. Actually, weren't you having a mock battle with Sir Chartreuse? Since the stage had already been set, I gave up on stopping the mock battle and came to talk to Miss Creamhill while the focus was on it. Yeah, we were having a good match until the middle, but for some reason his movements suddenly became sluggish midway, so I took the chance and punched him. His self-defense charm seemed to have exceeded its durability and he threw up. He's resting now. Even if Cyan punched him seriously, an impact that's strong enough to even exceed the durability of self-defense charm and make him throw up is crazy. Chartreuse has been training a lot, so he wouldn't throw up easily. Wait a minute, his movements became sluggish? I don't think he trained so half-heartedly that he would get tired right away, so why? Oh, maybe. You obviously fought him while wearing that sister habit with a slit, right? Not obviously. This is my combat uniform to start with. Ah, I see. In other words, Chartreuse was probably agitated because he almost saw something he shouldn't have when Cyan was moving a lot for kicking. I feel like he doesn't have much tolerance for that kind of thing. What's wrong? Nothing. Rather, don't you need to tend to him? Ivo is watching over him, so it's fine. Besides, he kind of didn't want me around him. Then it can't be helped. It would be better to not tease him needlessly. It's a pain, but I have to apologize to Chartreuse before he goes back. I'll have to explain that her outfit is a result of Cyan abiding by the doctrine, and not because she's an exhibitionist. No, the explanation won't make much of a difference. The fact that she's wearing those clothes without anything underneath won't change. So, just as I was halfway warmed up, I came across the perfect person who also pissed me off, so I couldn't help myself. That's why God will also forgive me for this. Your logic makes no sense. This is one of those things that God doesn't forgive. She has committed at least 2 of 7 deadly sins. It's a different matter altogether whether Cyan was actually upholding them, though. By the way, what did she come here for? I hope she didn't come here just to punch me. Not like it's unlikely, though. Anyway, I have a message from Ash. Apparently he wants to talk to you about handing over that pervert. Tell me that first. Isn't that clearly an important matter? I resisted the urge to sigh, turned back towards Lady Violet and Miss Creamhild and said something before leaving. Cyan was also returning to where Ash was, so it looked like she would come with me. The two then replied and saw us off. It seems like they still have something to talk about. Well then, let's go. Yes, sir. Ash is in front of the church. I nodded and started walking towards the church. When I looked back from a little distance away, I saw Lady Violet and Miss Creamhild talking happily like before. I'm a little jealous of Miss Creamhild for being able to bring out such a happy expression on Lady Violet's face. Then, after noticing that I was looking at them, Miss Creamhild started waving her hand to see us off. Seeing this, Lady Violet also imitated her and shyly waved her hand. Hey, they're waving, so let's wave back. Pipe down. Are you a kid? But I think she'll be happy if you wave back. As I waved back despite the embarrassment, Lady Violet trembled in surprise for some reason, stopped waving and looked down. And Miss Creamhild, who noticed, put her hand on Lady Violet's back, whispered something in her ear and continued waving from that position. I can't see her expression, but I noticed that Lady Violet's face turned red. What do you think, Cyan? Finish up everything quickly and go hug her already, or stop showing off, you bastard. Which one would you prefer? Neither. Coward. Shut up. It's so hot today. I think it's cooler today though. Are you shy? Your face has been red ever since he said that he's happy to be with you. I don't know what you're talking about. Stop grinning. I'm not. I just think it's heartwarming. Same difference. By the way, why did you suddenly ask something like that? You see, you've changed a lot from when you were at the academy, Vi. I was wondering if marriage changed people that much. I've definitely changed. I see. I'm glad. You have to take good care of Mr. CLO, okay? After all, he's a husband who doesn't treat you in a perverted way. What do you mean? Oh, and Creamhild about next month. I see. So, in addition to His Highness Vermilion, you'll meet too. Yeah. Chapter 65, Something of an Interlude. Ash's Doubts and Change of Heart. There's still something that needs to be settled. My feelings on the incident caused by Rivers while en route to escorting him back to the academy. Roshenna Rivers was kind to others for someone from a bourgeois family that bought their title. He behaved no differently even while associating with the upper echelons of society like me. His magic proficiency lay somewhere between A and B class. He did excel in academics, but his personality was nothing to write home about. But he didn't strike me as a guy who could transform an orc into that. I know he's skilled, but considering his personality, I have some questions regarding his behavior. I was certainly surprised to learn that he had concealed something called word magic, but he was a cowardly guy who couldn't take a life, so much so that he could never kill a monster or even wring the neck of a fish. I don't think all of that was just an act. A guy like that not only killed a monster but also experimented on it. Just what exactly brought about this change in him? That said, all of this might sound odd coming from me, considering I failed to see through his facade. However, Baron Herefield had a clue as to River's real character for some reason. I may be barking up the wrong tree as I failed to realize that Rivers had loved His Highness to the point of losing his grip on sanity. I wished to learn from this experience and become better at discerning others' character. If the perpetrator insists on silence. Rivers, who was restrained and contained in the coach, refused to speak a single word on the stunt he'd pulled. Even if I tried to speak with him, he simply said, "I have nothing to say to that woman's ally," and refused to budge. I suppose the woman he mentioned is Violet, but I wonder since when he started seeing us as allies. Just because I helped thwart Rivers' plan, it doesn't automatically make me her ally. He accused us of being her allies. What do you think, Char? I casually asked Char, who was next to me, after making sure no one could hear us. Char dropped the enigmatic expression on his face, gave my question some thought before he answered. Well, I suppose there's no reason to deliberately treat Valentine or Violet with hostility at the moment. As such, I don't mind if people consider us allies. That's a surprise. I never thought I'd hear you say something like that. I may not have a leg to stand on, but I certainly remember Char having a very aggressive attitude towards Violet. And now he says he doesn't feel that way anymore. Just what brought this on? You witnessed it too, what she's like now. Yeah. She did things that the Violet we knew would have never done. She was haughty and self-centered, aggressive and overbearing towards that girl. Naturally, that's the image that stayed in our mind. I'm not asking you to let bygones be bygones. But please, lend me your strength just this once. What we saw after the kidnapping incident was an ex-duke's daughter, explaining the situation to us, asking for our help and proceeding to lower her head to us before she even heard our reply. As the situation was dire, we were going to help even if she hadn't bowed to us. However, just to save any future trouble, it would be better if we explained the situation to the rest of the students. That was not her cunning plan. Rather, she bowed her head to us simply out of pure concern for her kidnapped butler. Us? We couldn't believe it was the same Violet Valentine we knew. She was someone who put pride before everything, and she would vehemently disregard anything she doesn't approve of. We could see none of that in her now. That said, her change in attitude doesn't erase her past sins. His Highness, and I'm sure Char too, haven't forgiven her for what she did to that girl. I am in love with that girl, and it's the same with His Highness and the others. Violet's behavior, which was a direct result of her ugly jealousy of that girl, can't be excused in such a short time. I don't intend on taking the law into my hands like Rivers, but a proper atonement period needs to be. Are you all right, Lord Cielo? Did you burn yourself? Are you hurt anywhere? Let's get you some first aid. I'll bring Ivory immediately. However, her expression back then was something I'd never imagined she would make. She wasn't trying to exploit the situation to her advantage or keep up appearances. It was simply an expression born out of love and concern for a precious someone. It wasn't out of fear, nor was it a formality, but an expression that made apparent her concern for the person she loved. When she makes an expression like that, it makes me unsure about where to redirect my anger. Maybe for others like Rivers, even that would only serve to fuel their anger, but it's starting to feel weird for me to resent her. Because I am in love with, I can understand where Violet's coming from. Setting aside the matter of forgiveness, I've known her since childhood, and I realized the obvious fact that the girl who I'd only ever seen with a sour look on her face was in love too. And this is what had to say on the subject. I wanted to draw your attention to the fact that you've grown too close-minded. I'm happy to learn about your feelings for me, but just keep in mind that those feelings don't excuse any kind of behavior. It was warranted, as what she said was true. I've since reflected on myself and strived to practice self-restraint, though I do slip up on rare occasions. Violet back then was in love with His Highness and unable to see anything but him. Violet Hartfield now is in love with the Baron and seems to be still aware of her surroundings. She who holds love, the same feeling as me in her heart, had matured in the right direction. Which means I have no right to criticize her anymore. As a fellow human, I can only wish for her happiness, though I can be bitter about it. Char seems not yet aware, seeing as how he accepted to help despite his mixed feelings when Violet beseeched us. He also did not notice that his opinion of her isn't the same anymore. Also, this may be off topic, but there's something I've been curious about as of late. By the way, what's up with you lately? You've been acting weird ever since your spar with that sister. Char, my best friend since childhood, was acting strange. Ever since the spar. He's been in a daze, and even when he got his new sword, his behavior was unusual. After entering the academy, probably around a month later I should think. Just like me, he also met and became close to, and since then he's been acting weird, but lately he seems to have gotten worse. It's nothing really. I didn't see anything. No, I can't say that as a knight. The Baron told me to not worry about it, but that's a part of a woman's body that shouldn't be. Char. It's okay, I didn't actually see it. It wasn't fully visible. However, is it alright to dismiss it just because of that? As a knight, as a man, I need to take responsibility, but I have her, so I can't exactly give myself up. Alright then, I've made up my mind. What is it, Char? Ash. Sorry, but could you let the school know I'll be absent for a few days? Depending on how things go, it may take a while for me to return. What are you talking about? There's something I need to do as a man. I'm sad I won't be able to see her, but if I return without making amends, I wouldn't be able to show her my face. Well then, goodbye, Ash. I'm going back to Shiki to take responsibility as a man should. Huh. Hold on, Char. Guys, two of you wait here and the rest follow me. We need to go bring back Char. If need be, you are allowed to exercise force. Roger that. Was this guy always that much of an idiot? Is what went through my mind as I saw him running off towards Shiki. In the end, we caught him using a thingamajig that Nephrite cooked up using her alchemy magic. Since he resisted, we had to knock him out. Is the eccentricity seen among Shiki's residents infectious? Chapter 66. Turmoil caused due to Thalo's lack of knowledge under Shwan. On one afternoon of a slightly chilly day, I was in the mansion's kitchen preparing dinner. In our household, we all take turns preparing meals each day, and today I'm the one on duty. I was reluctant and confused about cooking, because I had no prior experience before coming to Shiki, as my maid, Amber, and my exclusive chefs used to cook for me. But now, I've become able to cook decently with the help of my husband and my son. Besides, now I don't mind cooking. Or actually, I've started to think that it's fun. Today's leftover ingredients are: I checked the food storage, a refrigerator according to Lord CLO, which used ice magic stones, and thought of the menu for today's dinner. If I buy things we don't have in town, what can I make today? Lord CLO has gone outside to do some physical work, and Gray will help me prepare dinner as soon as he's finished with his work around the mansion. Both of them will probably be tired, so I better prepare something easy to eat and nutritious. In addition, I also have to consider their preferences. Lord CLO likes egg dishes in general and doesn't like dried fruits. Gray likes all meat dishes and doesn't like cheese, but he's fine with little amounts. However, they both share love for sweets. They often eat something sweet for dessert after a meal. I want them to be careful to not eat too much. Excessive overeating of sweets can lead to obesity. Both of them exercise a lot, so I don't think they're packing extra weight, but sweets are easy to get addicted to, so they should make sure to eat in moderation. I guess I'll make some roasted apples with honey after dinner. On a different note, apples are in season and we receive tons of it. I can't let them rot, so I might as well use them. The reason why I want to serve apples with honey instead of by themselves has nothing to do with the fact that Gray is particularly fond of honey. I'm not spoiling him just because I'm happy that he enjoys my cooking, so it's fine. I can't let a gift go bad, after all. Oh, but we're out of honey. Darn it. I used up all the honey to dip lemons the other day. And honey is not coming into Shiki currently. This will have Gray's happiness. No, that boy will be pretty happy even with just sliced apples. But I'd still like to make him happy with something I've cooked. But what are other dishes that use apples? With my lack of knowledge, I can't think of something at the top of my head. Should I have shown a little more interest in cooking? Then how about a strudel? As I was drowning in my regrets, somebody called out to me from behind. I haven't heard of that dish. What kind of dish is it? What kind of dish is that? It's a dish from the Empire, made by lining thinly rolled dough with apples, almonds, cinnamon, and baking it. It's sweet and delicious even without honey. It sounds delicious. Will you teach me how to make it? Wait, who am I talking to right now? Lord CLO hasn't come back and Gray is also still working. And it's a woman's voice. It's a female voice that could be described as dignified, unlike the voices of Miss Cyan and Apricot. There's no way I would forget this woman's voice. As I slowly cast my gaze in the direction of the voice, there she was. Pervert, Schwartz? The woman with long black hair and red eyes who tried to kill me before. I took an alert offensive stance indoors, keeping my vigilance up against Schwartz. Why is this woman here? And does the fact that she appeared before me mean that she got another commission involving me? Or perhaps she's here to take revenge on Lord CLO for threatening her. Phew, that's right. Anybody who seeks beauty will become a pervert in the end. Our great predecessors have also said, if you seek beauty, you must become a pervert. Oh. Phew, this woman's mentality is needlessly strong. Even though I took an alert stance, she struck a weird pose to flaunt her beauty. This woman is really beautiful on the outside. She has the kind of a beauty that I still end up admiring even in this situation. No, don't think about unnecessary things. Don't worry. I made a promise to not harm the people of Shiki. I would refuse any commissions concerning you guys. I can't trust you. I'm not surprised. I will probably never be able to earn your trust. But I will just say that I would not do anything stupid that could endanger my precious younger brother. After saying so, Schwartz raised her hands to show that she was unarmed. She might be unarmed, but as long as there could be monsters around, I can't let my guard down. But the situation won't move forward if we're frozen in a stalemate like this. It can't be helped. I'll ask her what she came here for without letting my guard down. So why are you here? Did you come here to harass me instead of harming me? Perish the thought. This time I only came here to sell things to CLO. Come to think of it, this woman does almost everything as long as you pay her. Lord CLO said that in addition to purchasing information about the kingdom so no harm will come to me, sometimes he also buys products brought by Schwartz. Lord CLO usually buys fabrics for himself. I've seen him exclaim new fabrics, happily many times. Yeah, even when I think back on it, Lord CLO at that time was very cute. Wait, no, that's not the point. In that case, there would be no reason for you to appear before me. It's not like you came here on your own to be arrested for illegal trespassing. You're right. I was actually planning to leave Shiki quietly without meeting you, but something kept bothering me. Something kept bothering you. What would make this woman, who only cares about her own beauty and her family in her hometown, come directly to me to ask something with a mysterious expression on her face? I doubt something happened to the kingdom or His Highness, and there aren't many things that only I can answer. Are you guys not doing well as a couple? Are you picking a fight with me? If she's here to pick a fight, I won't let her walk away unscathed. I was just thinking of improving my magic skills in order to protect Lord CLO and Gray. I'll use her as a practice dummy. No, I'm sorry. That wasn't my intention, but I was really just curious. However, Schwartz didn't seem like she was trying to pick a fight with me. She looked genuinely curious. Or more like worried. It's complicated, but when she shows that kind of expression, I can't help feeling perplexed. We have a good relationship. What made you think so? Oh. I also stopped preparing my mana, turned towards Schwartz again and asked her why she came to such a reasoning. You know that CLO asked me to purchase products from outside the kingdom, in addition to information, right? Yeah. This time I showed him the products I had purchased when I returned from the Empire, but when I showed him a certain product, he was more interested in it than the fabrics he usually happily chooses. A product that Lord CLO was very interested in? How is that related to the question she asked me? Did he buy the kind of a book that Kaki would love? If that's what it is, I'd be sad, but since he's a man, it's natural for him to be interested in things like that. In that case, I'll ask him to be careful to not let Gray see it. However, Schwartz paused, as if she was slightly hesitant to speak, and said something unexpected. CLO happily bought aphrodisiac. What did she just say? Aphrodisiac? Yup, aphrodisiac. Oh. I paused long to think well about those words, reflected on Schwartz's words. What? and immodestly shouted loudly. Chapter 67. Turmoil caused due to Zillow's lack of knowledge under. Calm down, Violet. Schwartz said that Lord CLO bought aphrodisiac, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. It's possible that it's a lie she made up to tease me. Also, Lord CLO isn't necessarily the one who will be using it. There's a chance that somebody else was looking for this item and Lord CLO, who remembered that, was happy to have found it and bought it. If used in another way, it can be a medicine to stimulate the recovery of bodily functions, and if given it to the perverted Dr. Ivory, or poison enthusiast Emerald, it could even be used for treatment. I see, in that case there's no mystery. Haha, I can't believe I panicked. Haha. I was really flustered by something so simple. By the way, CLO said that he'd use it today. Damn it, all my escape routes have been blocked. Wait, today as in tonight? What should I do? What am I supposed to do? I'm sure Lord CLO's words about the matters of the night was. After Lady Violet calms down. That's all he said. It seems that Lord CLO isn't good with things like that. I don't exactly like it either, but I thought that he was just evading it, so back then I decided that if he didn't feel like doing it, I wouldn't force him either. But perhaps he judged that I had finally calmed down. That said, I would have preferred if he hadn't decided to rely on that kind of drug for our first time. No, I'm the one who caused so much trouble for him and dragged things out. I can't complain now. I shall accept it with full readiness. Why are you here? As I was becoming eager, the one who appeared instead of Lord CLO was Gray. Seeing Schwartz and me, he quickly stepped in between us, taking a cautious stance. Hey there, Gray, long time no see. You're as beautiful as ever. Thank you very much. So, what did you do to my mother? Her face is so red. I hope you didn't give her any pills. Sorry, Gray. It might be true that my face is red because of Schwartz's words, but that doesn't mean she harmed me in any way. I'm honestly happy that you're worried about me, though. You'll understand the reason eventually when you grow up. By the way, Gray, do you want to play with me today? I refuse. There is no way I could leave my mother in this condition alone and go outside. I see. I honestly think it's better if you're not in the mansion tonight, though. Are you planning to do something to the people of Shiki? I'm not. Sorry, Gray. That's not it. I want to cover for her, but I don't know what to say and how, so I can't think of any words. Shit, is this Schwartz's plan? I don't know what it is, but I feel like I keep getting misunderstood from all directions. You are not making any sense. Don't worry about it. I was just thinking that it would be better to let CLO and Violet be alone. Alone with Lord CLO. In this situation with Lord CLO. There is no way I can leave them alone when she's in this kind of a state. Humph. Lady Violet. That was close. I was about to be deceived by her sweet words, but I managed to survive by banging my head against the wall. I don't know in what way I was being deceived, but I guess all is well now that I've regained my composure. Yeah, that hurts. Are you okay, Lady Violet? Does it hurt? Oh, I'm fine. Thanks for worrying about me. This is just a necessary measure for me to not go out of control. Lady Schwartz, did you use magic that involves mind on Lady Violet? I can swear that I did not. Is that so? Stop it, Gray. Don't look at me with the eyes that look as if you're thinking, was my mother always this stupid? This might just be my persecution complex talking, but I'm usually right about this kind of thing. In any case, the pain helped me regain some of my calm. I can't really explain this matter to Gray, so I'll act like nothing happened. Gray, it's fine. It's not like Schwartz harmed me in any. I've just returned home. Wah. Mother. Damn it. I was so shocked I ended up biting my tongue. What does this mean? Why did Lord CLO come back? No, calm down. This is our mansion. It's not strange for him to come back. It's not strange, but I didn't want him to come back right now. It would be better if he was a little late due to work. Hey there. Welcome home, CLO. I'm back. Wait, why is Miss Schwartz here? I just had a little business to take care of. Don't worry, I'll be leaving right away. After confirming that Lord CLO was carrying a paper bag when he returned, Schwartz stood up, approached him and tapped his shoulder. I was worried about something, but judging by her state, everything looks fine, so I'm relieved. Oh, is that so? Cielo, make good use of what you bought from me this time. Stop with that meaningful smile. And also drop that expression that's almost saying, just do your best, while subtly looking at me. Yes, of course. Thank you for the wonderful item. Lord Cielo answered Schwartz with a better smile than usual. A wonderful item, he said. Does Lord Cielo intend to use it after all? Looking satisfied at that answer, I want to punch her. Schwartz left with Auf Wiedersehen German goodbye, while waving lightly. Looks like she really came here because she was worried. Lord Cielo, what do you mean by wonderful item? After relaxing his vigilance, Gray asked Lord Cielo while worrying about me. The way he was looking at the paper bag, he seemed curious about what Lord Cielo had bought. Oh, it's something to look forward to later. In response to the question, Lord Cielo couldn't hide his happiness, cute, as he held up the paper bag with something in it. Something to look forward to. Is it what I think it is after all? By the way, Gray, why is Lady Violet's face red and why is she covering her mouth? I don't know why her face is red, but as for her mouth, she bit her tongue earlier. Are you okay? Lord Cielo ran up to me looking worried. Stop it. If you approach me when I'm like this, I won't know what to do. First, I should demonstrate that I'm okay so he won't get close. I'm fine. I'm not sorry for making you worry. Gray, get something to cool her down. She might have a fever too. Why? I see. So that's the reason why her face is red. I understand. Like I said, why? I'm completely fine. It's fine. Gray and I will take care of today's dinner, so please rest, Lady Violet. Lord Cielo put the paper bag on a nearby desk, covered me with a coat and tried to take me to my room. Oh, I want to tell Lord Cielo that I'm okay, but I can't think properly. But then the thing you bought won't. Recognizing that my own voice had become quieter from embarrassment, I couldn't look directly at Lord Cielo's face, and I myself couldn't understand what I was saying. What I bought? Did you perhaps hear what I bought from Miss Schwartz? I feel my heart, which was beating faster than usual, start to beat even faster at those words. This is bad. I feel Lord Cielo's words are spoken unusually close to me, and his voice resonates in my brain more than usual. Calm down, Violet. What are you going to do now in this state? Remember what you learned at the ducal house. Remember what you were taught about what to do in this kind of situation. I was generally only taught to leave it to the man. I was told that it was still too early for me. Damn, what should I do? Oh, right. Once you calm down, I will give it to you too, Lady Violet. It might be just perfect for your current state. Please look forward to it. HM? In other words, you want me to ingest it too? Ingest it? Well, I guess that's how it'll be. It's a very good thing. Oh, Lady Violet. Okay, I made up my mind. Lord Cielo is trying to give me a push too. In that case, I should also answer him. Like a noble, like a wife. I shall take on this challenge with a mindset that won't make me feel ashamed later. It looks like the time has finally come for that nightgown that I haven't even worn once since I was rejected on the first day. Lord Cielo, is the good thing you mentioned food? Gray asked Lord Cielo while holding something to cool me down with. We have hide it from Gray well. This topic is too early to talk about at Gray's age, so we can't just. Yeah. Once Lady Violet calms down, I'll give it to you too, so let's all eat together. What did Lord Cielo just say? Lord Cielo, Gray will eat it too? Yes, good things should be eaten together. It'll be more memorable that way. I see. Gray would also eat it, he says. We should eat it together, he says. We'll eat aphrodisiac together as a family, he says. In other words, are you really abnormal Cagliostro after all, Lord Cielo? That was brought out of nowhere. Chapter 68, Turmoil caused due to Cielo's lack of knowledge and treachery. One cold evening when it had started to get a bit nippy, I was admittedly chipper and on my way back to the mansion. The reason being the contents of the paper bag I was holding. Once work that required physical labor dries out, Ms. Schwartz, who shows up periodically, arrives with merchandise to sell. Since I'm required to visit the capital next month for reasons, I armed myself with up-to-date information on all things capital, and when I was about to buy the colored fabric that I'd ordered before, I discovered a certain something in her possession. This? It's a new item that's extremely popular among the nobles. It seems to originate from the United Nations, though. Do you need it? Hehe. I see you're interested in things like this too. Whoa. Miss Schwartz, I want that. I'll take all of it if you don't mind. What? CLO, do you know what this is? Of course. I never thought I'd come across it here. How much do you want for it? And so, excited as all hell, I ended up buying it. As someone who likes to haggle, I'm well aware that I shouldn't have appeared so eager to get my hands on the item, but the minute my eyes fell on it, I couldn't contain my excitement. Because it's something that I really loved back in my previous world. Who would have thought I'd get to have chocolate once again? Not me. Yeah, I'm talking about chocolate. Be it in my previous life or now, I continue to have a sweet tooth and I'm especially partial to chocolate. My sister and I had a voracious appetite for it. But it's such a shame that chocolate doesn't exist here, or at least not in the capital. If you possess the knowledge, then put it to good use and turn it into wealth. Is something that would only work in isekai story plots I've read in my previous world, and it was impossible for me. Cacao and sugar are the basic ingredients necessary to make chocolate, but I have no idea what else is needed or how to go about tempering it. Even in my previous life, I could follow a recipe, but eating was my true area of expertise, so it never crossed my mind to try to make chocolate myself. Either way, if it's becoming popular among nobles in the capital, then it should mean chocolate will be more easily available for consumption in the future. It's just a tad expensive though. The high price makes sense given the fact that nobles have set their eyes on it. Lady Violet would get mad at me if I buy too much. As for Gray, a small taste should win him over. Come to think of it, Ms. Schwartz said something weird when I was trying to buy the chocolate. I see. So you're aware of its effect and yet you're still buying it. Is something wrong? Nah, it's nothing. I was just a little curious. This may be bordering on rudeness, but do you mind if I ask whether you'll be the one to use it? Use? I guess it'll come down to that. I was thinking tonight would be a good time. Oh, well, good luck. I can't give you all of it, but considering it's your first purchase, I can offer you a large quantity on a discount. Make sure to handle Violet's body with care, you hear? I don't know which one of you will be using it though. Okay, got it. I wonder how chocolate relates to handling Lady Violet's body with care. No, hold on. I remember reading that chocolate is highly nutritional and is part of army rations. So did she mean that I shouldn't hog all of it and share some with Lady Violet for the good of her health? Well, she didn't need to tell me that. I was going to share anyway. Either way, I'm really excited to see everyone's reactions. I'm back. And as I hoped both Lady Violet and Gray would be just as stoked, I opened the door and entered the mansion, all chipper. It's all just a misunderstanding. And thus, I was desperately explaining myself to Lady Violet. The reason was to dispel the depraved notion that I intended for the whole family to consume the item despite being fully aware that it was an aphrodisiac. If that's what it was, I wish Miss Schwartz had said something. Wait, did chocolate ever have the properties of an aphrodisiac? I desperately explained to a strangely flustered Lady Violet that the supposed chocolate I had purchased was simply a favorite dessert of mine, and that I had no ulterior motives behind the simple transaction. While I was at it, I also desperately explained things to Gray, who had somehow learned the nature of an aphrodisiac. The minute he learned its true purpose, Gray tried to leave the room as if to give me and Lady Violet some privacy, so I had to take great pains to make him stay. I should also apologize, I didn't know all the details but still jumped to my own conclusions. It's alright, I really couldn't blame you given the circumstances. Consuming it as a family sounds too depraved. And wait, where did you learn about the name Abnormal Cagliostro? From rumors going around about you before I came to Shiki. Why the hell is that nickname being spread everywhere? I don't want to turn defiant and shout that all humans are perverts deep down, but that nickname is too humiliating. Wait. Lady Violet looked flustered even before I suggested that we all try it. I'm guessing she heard the news from Miss Schwartz before I got back home, but that would mean. But does it really taste good? Before I could answer her curious question, she picked up the chocolate in her hand and examined it, which shifted my focus. I can't deny that to the clueless it would look no more than a brown block. And if someone was seeing it for the first time, they may be ill-opposed to consuming it. Then would you like to try it? Now that the misunderstanding had been cleared, I recommended they give the chocolate a try. I want to share delicious things with both of them, and if the food ends up suiting their tastes, then it would make me really happy too. Even if it's a confectionery of some sort, it doesn't change the fact that it's being used as an aphrodisiac in the capital, would it? How could we eat it? I've heard that if you're accustomed to stimulants like alcohol or fizzy drinks, then medicine or poison has a lesser effect on you, so a small quantity of it should be totally fine. It's sweet and delicious. Really? Well, seeing as how you like it so much, I guess I'll try a small bit. I'll join you. I picked up the chocolate and broke off finger-sized pieces and plopped one after the other into my mouth. Ah, how nostalgic. It tastes like happiness at being able to relish the flavor of chocolate once more, after it had become a distant memory. Alcohol, something like honey and the higher ratio of cacao gave it a bittersweet taste, but I have to admit it's quite delicious. I used to frequently snack on chocolates during breaks at work in my previous life. I can just get the necessary ingredients when I visit the capital next month. I can also kill 2 birds with 1 stone if I have some in between breaks from running errands. What's the matter, Lady Violet Grey? I was relishing the chocolate when I noticed that both of them were acting weird. It didn't look like they were simply enjoying the sweet, delicious aftertaste, but rather they looked dazed for some reason. Lord CLO. What? Yes. What's wrong? And Lady Violet turned to me, looking dazed. At the same time, Gray slowly made his way towards me for some reason. I wonder if neither of them took to the taste. If that's the case, then I may have screwed up. I feel hot. Pardon. If anything, it's rather chilly today. Why I feel hot. Strangely hot. My body's on fire and pleasantly warm, making me want to move it around. What? Oh, calm down, Lady Violet. It's rather cold today and I haven't turned on the heater. Please move your hands away from your clothes. Father, I feel hot too, so Mother's not wrong. Father. Gray, what's wrong with you? Lady Violet insisted that she felt hot and her voice and mannerisms were both very inviting, while Gray sounded and acted flirtatious as he tugged on my shirt. What in hell, what's happening? No way. Don't tell me that a small bite of chocolate actually had an effect. Judging from their reactions, it's rather surprising, but the chocolate really seems to have aphrodisiacal properties. But the question remains, why do I feel perfectly fine? It may not be my first time having chocolate ever, but I have never had it in this world until now, so my body couldn't have developed any resistance to it. I don't think Lady Violet's strange behavior can be attributed to the alcohol in the chocolate either. Then chocolate really? Lord CLO, come on, strip. Calm down, Lady Violet. I can't do that lest I catch a cold. If you don't feel well, how about we lie down, yes? I'm fine. I've been told skin-on-skin contact can warm you up. So even if you feel cold without clothes on, if we stick together you'll warm up in a second. I still feel like keeping my clothes on is the best way to keep warm. Then I suppose we just need to embrace clothes and all. I thought you were feeling heated. Father. What is it, Gray? I love you. Okay. Thank you for those terrifyingly flirtatious words. I love you too, but how about we all calm down, yes? This is bad, it really had an effect on them. I still don't fully trust its ability as an aphrodisiac, but it's definitely had some sort of weird effect on them. Gray on my left. Lady Violet on my right. Both of them tightly hold on to me. Normally, receiving an embrace from your wife and son would be a happy circumstance, but considering I'm the one who brought about this situation, I can't feel genuinely happy about it. That said, let me commit this feeling to memory and enjoy it for now. Now what? I guess I'll keep watch over them so they don't do anything weird. I had nary an inkling that chocolate could be so dangerous. Huh? Where is it? The plant called Saturian or something. Oh, there it is. Looks like it got mixed up with the other stuff. But I have to say, Kaki is quite the weirdo to ask for something like this. If I'm not wrong, this is way more effective than what I sold to CLO. Wait, what? I remember I had Saturian in powder form too. And I could have sworn I had more than this? Wonder if it spilled somewhere. Chapter 69 Turmoil caused by Chartreuse's sense of responsibility _1. Somebody noisy has been in Shiki recently. Shiki is far away enough from the capital that it would take several days to travel by horse-drawn carriage. However, if you use something called a space distortion stone installed at schools and other special places, you can reach Shiki from the capital in less than a day. Space distortion stone is basically a warping stone. Imagine a human-sized crystal that when touched while reciting one's destination, after which the person would instantly be teleported to that destination. It might be easier to understand if one thinks of it as a device that makes moving simpler in RPGs. It was sometimes used as a means of traveling long distances in Ring of Fire. However, using it requires permission and money. It can also only be placed in places with so-called special spiritual veins. In the capital, there's one near the capital. As for the nearest one to Shiki, it would be in the next town. Currently, there's a certain idiot nobleman who used the space distortion stone to move from the academy to the neighboring town and came to Shiki running at full speed. Baron, how should I take responsibility? Please calm down, Sir Chartreuse. Yes, Chartreuse Calvin, the heir to Viscount Calvin. Chartreuse, who had taken a week off by using the celebration of the school's founding and some of his own connections, came to Shiki and asked me with a serious expression on his face. He was asking me how he could take responsibility for Cyan. Chartreuse, who had a mock battle with Cyan at the end of their investigation, saw something he shouldn't have because of Cyan's unique outfit. He claims that he didn't see anything directly. Nevertheless, he wants to take responsibility as a knight and as a man. However, he can't exactly offer himself to her, and if word spreads, it would embarrass Cyan, so he couldn't possibly make a big deal out of it. He tried to ask Cyan directly, but he was refused. Honestly. Like I care, idiot. I want to tell him off. To start with, at the point when Viscount's son comes to Shiki and talks to Cyan, people would already start wondering if something had happened. Why hasn't Chartreuse even considered that? I can't tell if he has a strong sense of responsibility, or he's serious and inflexible. Still, can't he try to be a little more observant of his surroundings? Now that I think about it, I recall that Chartreuse's route brought out more of his simple-minded side that also appears in common routes. He would blush immediately when the heroine would touch him, proclaim that he would take responsibility after directly holding her hand. He would jump forward in face of danger without regard for himself and married her after becoming the knight commander because he wanted to be a man worthy of her. I don't know if I should call him straight-laced or troublesome. I swore that I would devote my life to her, even if we didn't get married. For that, I am determined to never let another woman catch my eye. And yet, of all things, I almost saw the sisters. I faltered. I have to settle this matter so I can become a man she can be proud of. Yes, this is so annoying and heavy. The way things are going, this guy's on the verge of killing himself if his crush rejects him. It's fine to be devoted, but please don't get me involved. Given his status, I can't afford to ignore him. To be honest, I have something that needs to be sewn quickly, so I would love to leave him to somebody else, but it would be too heavy for Gray. I feel like if I left him to Lady Violet, things would get complicated in other ways. Most of Shiki residents have seen Cyan's buttocks, even if it was indirectly, and most of them don't care. I don't think this is a problem. Some men are grateful for it though. Oh. I also didn't know what to do at first, but then I came to the conclusion that it was stupid to worry about it. That's not the problem. It's not fine just because many people have seen it. The problem is that I almost saw a woman's intimate parts. If somebody's at fault, it's Cyan. She was the one who fought in that kind of outfit. It's the crime of public indecent exposure for going against the gender norms by maliciously stimulating sexual desire. Although it's questionable if it would actually be considered a crime since it's a doctrinal garment worn by a member of the church. It's also questionable whether there is a law that covers such charges in this kingdom. That's not the problem. Art. Shut up. Even if it was because of an unexpected accident or her personal taste, the fact that I almost saw it won't change. So this matter needs to be settled. Then settle it by yourself. Those words almost leave my mouth, but I force myself to swallow them down just in time. Keep it in, keep it in. I wish Chartreuse's parents, Ms. Knight Commander and Mrs. Archwizard, would have raised their son as a calmer child. Foe, I understand. In short, you just have to take the responsibility, right? As I said that, Chartreuse looked at me with an expectant gaze, wondering if I had a great idea. I'm not very keen on this method, but at this rate, he'll keep staying here, so I decided to make a suggestion. In fact, I'll make him owe me by offering him a solution. Basically, you think that you have embarrassed Cyan. Am I right, Sir Chartreuse? Yeah, that's right. Then you should also experience embarrassment. I firmly grabbed Chartreuse's shoulder and made sure he couldn't escape. Frankly speaking, this is rude. But at this point I just want to resolve this issue as quickly as possible. If this guy stays here, Lady Violet won't be able to calm down either. I am not going to let you escape. Wait a minute, Baron. I don't really get it, but I have a bad feeling about this. Specifically, it's like when Ash fake laughs. Ha ha ha, what are you talking about? Ha ha. Wait. That's the exact same way Ash laughs. Wait. I'm telling you to wait. Shit, stop pulling me. Where are you taking me? Also, Baron, you had high physical abilities after all, don't you? I forcibly dragged Chartreuse along. Don't think that you can escape now. I'll make you regret consulting me at this moment. Chapter 70, Turmoil caused by Chartreuse's sense of responsibility under Sirdu. Cuckoo. At Shiki's church, Cyan was desperately trying to hold back her laughter at the situation in front of her. From the way she couldn't contain her laughter even though Father Snow White was nearby showed that she was really having a hard time holding back. Looking at the way the priest, who would have usually admonished her, was trembling, he was probably also holding back his laughter. Naturally, there's a reason for why they're laughing, and that reason is Chartreuse's presence in the church. If he was simply present here, it wouldn't be a problem and nobody would be laughing, but his outfit was the problem. Foe, I'm done, Sis Senior Sears. What should I do next? Can I leave cleaning the floor to you? I don't mind whether you sweep it or wipe it. Understood. Novitiate Chartreuse Calvin. I will show you how splendidly I'll develop. MPF. Cyan let out a silent laugh at Chartreuse's needlessly spirited remark. Father somehow regained his composure and took a long breath to calm himself down. Why are they both laughing so hard? The reason for that is the fact that shit, it's hard to move in a long skirt, even if it has a slit. Are she and other girls always moving dressed like this? Still, with this, I think I can understand why you would want a slit. Chartreuse is dressed in a nun's habit. If they were meeting for the first time in this situation, they would be weirded out and things would get uncomfortable, but since Chartreuse talked quite a lot with Cyan and Father during the investigation and they also know about his personality, it seems to be working in a way. As for why Chartreuse is dressed this way, it went like this. In other words, you also have to bear the risk of experiencing the same kind of embarrassment, Sir Chartreuse. The same kind. Yes. In short, you have to spend the day with the embarrassment of knowing that your important parts may be seen. For that, you have to dress in the same way as Cyan in the same church attire. Wait, is that really enough? Even if I dressed like the clergy, I would be different from a nun. Even if I don't wear underwear, the degree of embarrassment while wearing a robe is. Who said anything about dressing like the clergy? I said, dress the same way as Cyan. Oh? Wait, you mean I'll be wearing that outfit? You're telling me to not only cross-dress but to also show my skin. Are you messing with me? I'm not messing with you. You see, Cyan refused you because you lack determination. In other words, if you don't show a strong willpower to take the same risk, all this talk about taking responsibility is just empty words. First of all, you must demonstrate your determination with your clothes. I see. I understand now. Yeah, now that I think back on it again, I'm surprised Chartreuse agreed to wear those clothes. When Chartreuse actually offered to help while putting on the habit, Cyan looked at him with an indescribable expression and asked him if he was in his right mind, but when he actually came back wearing the nun uniform, She must have felt his determination even while holding back her laughter. She took Chartreuse's resolve into account by letting him help out, so I would say that he succeeded in his endeavor. Senior Sears, where should I get water from? Usually I'm the one who prepares water with magic. There are tools made with water magic stones around the corner over there for when I'm not here, so you can use those. Understood. I wouldn't want to bother you, so I'll go get some water. Okay. Be careful. Leave it to me. And Chartreuse ran at full speed, as if he had already broken off from his past self. Oh. At first, he seemed to have a lot of conflict at wearing women's outfit without the underwear, which could be described as a high-level perversion even among the abnormals, but now that he's able to take responsibility, he's all livelino. He's just trying to look excited because if he did it half-heartedly, it would be even more embarrassing. I think that's probably it. Rather, is it just my imagination that acting like this will create a more embarrassing history for him than taking responsibility? Yeah, it's not just my imagination. Well then I'll get started. Father and Senior Sears, it's dangerous so please stay away. Why would the words "it's dangerous so please stay away" come up when he's just cleaning the floor? Although depending on the situation it might make sense. And why is he holding something that looks like a mop like a sword? Batojutsu Flash. This guy really used the technique he created to protect the heroine just to clean the floor. No, to be more exact, it seems to be a technique that he created unrelated to Ms. Creamhill, so it's fine, I guess. Either way, it's not a technique used for cleaning anyway. There are no obstacles on my path to priesthood. Wow, that's amazing. I've been a priest for so long, but I never knew there was a way to clean things so quickly. I'd reckon so, Father. Cleaning reflects the state of your heart. I'm good at cleaning too. But it's dangerous, so don't do it again. Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. Was this guy always this stupid? No, he probably got too excited in the wrong way. Cyan must have felt Chartreuse's resolve too, so I'll advise him that it's about time to go back to his own clothes. Regarding the matter of facing the same risk, if Cyan and I tell him that he was able to do it efficiently, he should stop. I made him do it because he was noisy, but this situation isn't very good. Oh, here you are, Lord Cielo. The others told me that you were here. Faster than I could talk to him, Lady Violet entered the church. Perhaps she had something to discuss with me, because she looked around the church to look for me, and mid-sentence after finding me, her eyes met with Chartreuse's and she stopped moving. You know, Calvin. What? Chartreuse also stopped moving when he saw Lady Violet. After a strange silence passed, Lady Violet spoke up first. Without getting flustered, without disrespecting him, looking at her former classmate, she smiled calmly and shared her thoughts. It suits you. I see. I was actually starting to think the same too. Cyan and Father burst out laughing at that line. Author's note. Chartreuse Calvin. Dark green chartreuse colored. Hair and green eyes. Height. In the later half of 170 centimeters. Has decent muscles by Otome game standards. Capture target. Viscount family. Son of the Knight Commander and Archwizard. Oh. The clothes he wore this time were old spares from Cyan, who's around 160 centimeters. Dangerous in many ways. Chapter 71 How the Children Spend Time Under One. Even before, the more time we spent in each other's company, the closer we grew, but after the kidnapping incident she's been more loving. To be honest, knowing that she rushed to my rescue back then made me really happy. I felt bad when I learnt that she bowed her head for my sake but also touched. I thank my lucky stars that an ex-slave like me has two loving parents. Listen, Gray. Beware of strangers. Even if it's someone you know, if they look at you the way Mr. Bly does, then steer clear of them. The days are getting shorter, so be careful while walking the streets after dark. Also, I do indeed count my blessings, but her worrying about me like this every time I leave home can get a little tiring. The fact that she's concerned means that she really cares for me, and that makes me happy, but I'm not a kid anymore. There's not much I can't do that Lady Violet or Lord Cielo can, and I'm somewhat capable of showing discretion. My parents and friends tend to ask me to be more cautious because I'm apparently very gullible, but I don't think I am. I believe I'm capable of weighing my options and making the right choice. And so, my dear disciple, today we experiment with a new spell. What will you be teaching me today, Master? First, we are going to try out a spell called Great Godabuki. Ritual dance that I learned from a certain someone. Ooh, what kind of spell is it? Let's see. The certain someone told me that it's a spell that transforms the curse you cast into power that can further be used to boost the effect of your magic. Lady Apricot, you never cease to amaze me. Hihi. It's not as difficult as you might think. Today I'm going to be getting some hands-on experience practicing magic with my master, Lady Apricot. I wonder what kind of amazing spell we're going to be trying. I'm not too familiar with curses, but if Lady Apricot speaks so highly of it, then it's sure to be exceptional. We were accompanied by Mr. Brown, and for some reason, Lady Emerald was also present. Normally she's a strange one who's off happily ingesting poisons. I'm certain she's never shown any interest towards magic. Also, Mr. Brown was nodding off on his feet. This is quite a surprise. I would have never expected you to show up to a magic lesson. If I hadn't run off, my dad would have dragged me to that perverted doctor. I'd pick Apricot over that pervert any day. She sighed and scratched her head with a bandaged right hand. I remember Mr. Green, Lady Emerald's father, had the wound on her arm treated. No matter how much she's advised against it, she frequently lets poisonous snakes bite her or applies medicine laced with poison on her arm, such that the wounds on her arm easily fester. The other day, I happened to witness Mr. Green grumble about his precious daughter causing his hairline to recede. Speaking of, where's your father? Lord CLO is busy sewing clothes. I see. What about your mother? Lady Violet is off merrily flying the skies. So she's patrolling with Robot. Lord CLO is in the process of making Lady Violet a dress at the moment. I enjoy watching him work and he doesn't particularly mind if I do, but I thought he might as well focus so the dress ends up beautiful. Hence I decided to leave him to his work. And Lady Violet mentioned, there's a little something I want her advice on, and left to find Robot, but I don't know why that resulted in her flying the skies. My dear disciple, Emerald. And last but not the least, Brown. We need to venture to the forest to kick off the experiment. Follow me, guys. Yes, Lady Apricot. Yeah, I got it. Brown, wake up. Looks like we gotta go. Ah. Huh. What are you doing here, Emerald? I thought you were headed to the cave to collect poison? That was 2 days ago. Rousing him from his slumber, we trailed after Lady Apricot into the forest. Apparently, the experiment is going to be conducted in the forest. Looks like an open space is better to test things, lest we inconvenience the neighbors in town. Ah, my dear disciple. Watch out for bugs and keep an eye on your physical condition at all times. No matter how small, if there's an issue, then make sure to report to me. Also, just let me know if you need any fluids. I've made the necessary arrangements. You really are thoughtful in the weirdest of places. Of course I am. I'm obligated to do that much as an adult when I'm borrowing someone's precious body. Saying so, Lady Apricot once again cast the bug-repellent magic on us. It should keep us safe from small bugs and snakes. As ever, she insists on being considerate of the tiniest details. Come to think of it, I wonder why Lady Violet also looks at this side of Lady Apricot in surprise, just like Lady Emerald. Great Godabuki Ritual Dance. It's a spell that allows the user to temporarily borrow the divine power of a great earth deity called a Buki, using alcohol as a medium. This provides the user with the power to enhance the strength of their magic. Originally, the spell seems to be used to enhance physical strength, but we are going to be conducting an experiment to check if it can be swapped with magic strength. So in order to recreate the power of a curse, I borrowed an item from Lord Orchid that can temporarily put an object in a cursed state. What the hell kind of item did that guy make? Lady Apricot pulled out a poisonous-looking cauldron from her cape. It bubbled and sputtered, as if merely touching it could really curse you. Is that poisonous, Apricot? Curses are something that can eat away at your body, right? Throw that on me, Apricot. Dump it on me from the head down with a splash. Don't leave a drop behind. In your dreams. In reply to Mr. Brown's question, Lady Emerald asks to be dunked with the fluid, and upon Lady Apricot's refusal, She tries to grab the cauldron. I try to stop her and Mr. Brown joins in my effort and together we hoist her by her arms and somehow manage to stop her. Mr. Brown happens to be younger than me but much taller, which I really envy. Curses aren't poison in the first place. Anyway, we need to set up the experiment. My dear disciple, would you help me with it? Roger that. I began to set things up for the experiment as per Lady Apricot's request. A small distance away from us, Lady Apricot created a rock a bit bigger than me, and poured the fluid over it that would put it in a cursed state. During the process I heard Lady Apricot mutter something that sounded like, "Ugh, I should have him make that next time." Which was a bit concerning, but anyway, everything should be set up and ready now. Next we sprinkle the sake around it. Done. Phew. Well then let us begin, my dear disciple. It's a bit dangerous for someone powerful like me to use dark or fire magic for this, so let's try water magic. I suppose water is comparatively safer. Lady Apricot had finished setting everything up and was about to start the experiment. Mr. Brown had set Lady Emerald down, and she was spectating the experimental process. By the way, Gray. Yes. Lady Apricot had started to chant the spell, and was building up her magic power. Lady Emerald and I looked on and she began to make small talk with me. If I'm not mistaken, back when the academy students came by for the investigation, you spoke with Nephrite on the last day, didn't you? Nephrite? Oh yes, I did. I think Nephrite's last name was Creamhild. It's true that Lady Creamhild and I had a chat, albeit short, on the last day. She had voiced her concerns for me in regards to my kidnapping and her demeanor was very gentle and bright, so I remember her very well. She was an old school friend of Lady Violet's and I recollect them happily chatting away. I think Lady Emerald also spoke with Lady Creamhild. Did you ever feel like there was something off about her? Something off. I can't find the right words, but how do I put it? She scratched her head with the non-bandaged left hand and after struggling to find the appropriate words, she uttered something strange. Like she doesn't have something that she should, and she's simply spinning her wheels because she's missing that little something. Lady Emerald stumbled as if she herself was unsure of what she was talking about, and just then, oh shit. Our conversation was cut off by Lady Apricot muttering as such under her breath. Both of us had a bad feeling after hearing that, and switched stances to one that would allow us to quickly run to help if necessary. Take cover. We did as told when Lady Apricot lost control of her magic, and the target of her spell exploded for some reason. It wasn't a huge explosion, but that's besides the point. The spell that got out of hand was the one Lady Violet was chanting, so it was water magic. Rather than water splashing everywhere, being refined by magic, it shot up from the ground and scattered, meaning everything in the vicinity was completely soaked. I feel a bit cold. Okay, Apricot, what do you have to say to us? I'm truly sorry. Lady Apricot promptly apologized. Chapter 72, How the Children Spend Time _2. Fui, I'm warming up. Oh, don't fall asleep, Brown. If you sleep in the bath, you'll die. I'm not sleeping, Big Sister Emerald. Hey now. A little outside of Shiki. The four of us were soaking in the hot spring together. Our purpose was to dry our clothes that had gotten wet from the experiment earlier, and to warm up our bodies. If this had happened a little earlier in the season, we might have gone to the river, but since it's a bit chilly, we all decided that a hot spring would be better and went together. Thanks to Lord Cielo's efforts, the road to the hot spring is being maintained to some extent. It can't be called a facility when there has been only the bare minimum done so the hot spring itself does not leak to the outside. Still, it's somewhat better than before. Eventually, it will be divided by sex and open for the Shiki citizens. It seems that the fee will be just a formality, as the profit is of no importance. Still, I wonder what the cause of today's failure was, Lady Apricot. I came out of the hot spring, approached Lady Apricot, who was beckoning me, and asked. Lady Apricot lathered up the soap she had prepared who knows when. She urged me to sit down and started explaining what happened earlier while washing my back. Full, listen well, my disciple. We did not fail. We succeeded in proving that this method can't work. Hence, you shouldn't feel ashamed. Tusi. I resent my own lack of education for not realizing this faster. Fu, it's nothing to worry about. But don't forget that we have to reflect on the damage we caused. I replied cheerfully to those words. Lady Apricot poured hot water on my head with her usual confident expression, pulled out perfume oil from somewhere, put it on my head and started lathering it. Oh. You're not going to retort to those words, Big Sister Emerald. She's right, and I can't get stronger if I keep getting knocked out by the poison of assuming I'd fail. I see. Which part of those words needed retorting? I don't really get it, but Lady Emerald does sometimes retort to Lady Apricot's words. Here, disciple. I'm going to pour hot water on you, so close your eyes. Yes. I closed my eyes as I was told, and the hot water was poured on me. Now that the wet and sticky sensation I was feeling had mostly disappeared, it was my turn to wash Lady Apricot. Seeing this, Lady Emerald also got out of the hot spring. Looks like she's going to wash Brown. By the way, Apricot, I heard that you'll be entering the academy next year. It's just a possibility. I'd honestly be able to study more freely on my own. Here. Is there a guy you're interested in? Cough. Lady Apricot choked at Lady Emerald's words and started coughing with all her body. I was just washing her back, so I rubbed it to calm her down. Then, after composing her breath, Lady Apricot turned just her head towards the two, so I resumed washing her. Why would you think that? There is no way I would be howling at something like that. What about the shuttle what's-his-face you fought the other day? He's a year older and his face isn't bad either. It was a duel. That person can only be my rival. He is not the artist who I can have a relationship with. Besides, he seemed to have somebody he likes. Is that so? After I finished lathering, I handed the soap to Lady Emerald, grabbed a nearby bucket, drew hot water from the hot spring and washed away the bubbles. Come to think of it, I don't often hear stories of Lady Apricot dating other boys or being interested in the opposite sex. Perhaps a part of it is because she doesn't have many peers here, but maybe she's not really interested in it. Apparently it's a beautiful girl with blonde hair and red eyes who can use alchemy magic. She's a wonderful person who's kind to everybody regardless of their race and status. You sure know a lot. Hey Brown. Stop moving. Yeah, Riser told me about her passionately. Apparently she's excellent at everything, including academics, magic, cooking and art. What kind of overly blessed woman is that? From the looks of it, when Lady Apricot asked Lord Chartreuse if there were other strong students beside him, he spoke very passionately about it. He had spoken so passionately that Lady Apricot seemed to have thought that he was annoying. But to think that such a person existed, or should I say such magic instead. I've heard that alchemy magic is a rare magic. And I also feel like I heard that Lady Violet's dual opponent was a girl who also used alchemy magic. Judging by the way Lady Violet was talking with Lady Creamhild, the latter probably wasn't her opponent. In other words, that girl was the person who caused Lady Violet to. That reminds me, I overheard a little earlier, my disciple. Yes, what happened? While I was lathering up perfume oil on Lady Apricot's head, I was asked a question, so I changed the direction of my thoughts. I'm curious, but it's something that hasn't been confirmed yet. So, for now, I'll just focus on washing her comfortably and answering the question. Yeah, when I untied it, I saw that her black hair was as beautiful and long as ever. When the hair is this long, washing it is really rewarding. I heard the name Nephrite earlier. Did anything happen? Oh, I was the one who asked about her. Come to think of it, Nephrite also uses alchemy magic. While washing Brown's body and remembering the previous conversation, Lady Emerald continued. Since it didn't concern me, I concentrated on washing Lady Apricot's hair carefully. I must make it as beautiful as possible. It's nothing. I just felt something strange about Nephrite. Strange? Did you feel her hidden demonic powers? No. It's nothing to worry about. Not yet. I still have to lather it up more and wash carefully. Then it's fine. You didn't feel something strange about the way she was laughing, right? The way she was laughing. Yeah, I don't know to describe her laughter, but wonderful. As expected from the perfume oil prepared by Lady Apricot. From the way bubbles are formed, When you comb down from where the bubbles are, your fingers will run smoothly through the hair. Hey, my disciple. Is it not time to wash away the bubbles already? Yes, I'll do that. And I'll apply the perfume oil again after. Why? It's to make your hair beautiful. Please don't worry. However inexperienced I might be, I will do my best to make Lady Apricot's hair look great. Oh, I see. In that case, I entrust you with my spinel-like hair, my disciple. However, if it stays up for a long time I feel colder, so please be mindful of the time. After I got the approval, I went back to making her hair pretty. I have to finish everything while also considering the time needed to soak into the hot spring again later. It might take a while if I also consider the time needed for clothes to dry, so it might be better to wash her hair again later. Fufufu. I can't wait to put my skills to good use. Big Brother Gray gets weird sometimes. Not that we have any right to point that out though. Sometimes Gray's dedication goes out of control like that. But he has a good compatibility with Big Sister Apricot. Agreed. Come on, I'm pouring. Thank you. I feel like she has a smile on her face. Did you say something, Brown? Nope, nothing good. Hey, don't fall asleep. Author's note. Gray 11 has unconsciously become ignorant about the matters of biological sex. Apricot 14. Since she's with her friends, she doesn't mind being seen. Emerald 13. Doesn't care as long as other people don't blatantly express dislike towards her scars. Brown 7. Looks like an adult, 175 centimeters. But on the inside he's at the age where he's not aware of age-appropriate gender differences. Chapter 73 How the Children Spend Time _3. Thank you, my disciple. My spinel-like hair has become even shinier. This should further increase my mana. I am undeserving of such praise, Lady Apricot. Lady Apricot struck a pose while walking, making her hair, which was more beautiful than usual, flutter. I'm glad that my care yielded good results. Her hair was already beautiful, but now it looks even more brilliant. Next time, I would like to do the same to Lady Violet's hair too. I would like to make her beautiful violet hair even more beautiful, but Lady Violet has always taken a perfect care of herself. On the other hand, if I relax, Lord Zillows doesn't dry his hair fully, so if I'm not looking, his hair will start to bounce outward. It's also rewarding to take care of him in a way. Big Sister Apricot. How are hair and mana connected? What you don't know. Hair is the perfect medium for conserving mana. The higher quality it is, the more mana will increase. I see. By the way, where are we going? I think we're back. Oh, I just have to take care of the aftermath from the magic I used earlier. Everybody crouch and be quiet. Hearing Lady Apricot's words, we stopped talking and we each hid behind a nearby bush. Then when I quietly put my head out and turned my gaze towards where we were heading, I saw. Those are beast-type monsters. There were quadruped beast-type monsters with a body covered in white fur. They were kind of small, but they had sharp fangs. It's the type of a monster that can be seen around Shiki. While they're omnivorous and stronger than the direwolf that kidnapped Light Blue before, they're usually docile, and although they don't come down to settlements like Shiki, sometimes they wander in and cause damage to livestock and fields. That's how it's supposed to be, but there's something strange about them. What we were seeing in front of us right now were several beasts that were biting into something single-mindedly. They were clearly more ferocious. Since we knew what they usually looked like, we couldn't help feeling that something was strange. Indeed, they seemed to be the monsters with the vestiges of the man who disrespectfully kidnapped my disciple before. Everybody became more alert after hearing those words. Vestiges from the man who kidnapped me. In other words, they're monsters that still have the vestiges of Roshena River's word magic. People from Shiki and the Academy should have wiped out all of them before, but there must have been some survivors. They do indeed emit an aura specific to monsters who are under the influence of word magic. I can see the residue of dark magic around their eyes. It looks like those monsters have been hypnotized to attack in response to a certain amount of mana. They reacted to the power of the curse from earlier, and they're most likely biting into the thing we were using as a target earlier. They look like they're on a rampage though. Looks like it. Even I don't know much about this magic. Perhaps they are suffering some kind of side effect? Having said that, Lady grasped her cane with both hands and took a fighting stance. Seeing this, we also readied our weapons. Lady Emerald took out several small knives and a jar containing plants. Brown put his hand on the handle of the longsword he was carrying. Unfortunately, I don't have any unique weapons yet, so I just need to enhance my mana so I won't be detected. We have no way to break this magic, and if we leave them here, there may be some casualties. I feel sorry for them, but let us subdue them before they cause any damage. Yeah, got it. We all nodded at Lady Apricot's words and prepared ourselves to move out at any time. Are you all ready? Let's go. Taking those words as a signal to engage, we each moved on our own. Phew, I feel refreshed. At Shiki's Square. Oh. We all toasted while drinking Lady Apricot's homemade juice mixed to replenish the water and sugar we had lost in the earlier battle, and the hot springs. The battle had ended without a hitch, and we were able to finish the subjugation without any casualties. I'll report it to Lord CLO or Father Snow White later, but for now we were all rewarding ourselves for the successful subjugation without the adults. Oh yeah, it sure feels nice to cooperate with my disciple in a battle for the first time in a while. You couldn't even keep up with me before, but you've grown so much. Thank you very much for your excessive evaluation. However, I still have much growing to do compared to you, Lady Apricot. I will work harder to someday become strong and be on par with you, Lady Apricot. No, with Master. I look forward to that day. Knowing you, I'm sure that day is not far away. Yes. What praise I have received. One day I would love to defeat and rank monster Lady Apricot talks about together with her. Originally, a rank is the highest rank according to established regulations, but apparently there are even stronger monsters, in other words, rank monsters, hidden by the committee made up of several people, and Lady Apricot has subdued them in the past. It's said to be every master's wish to eventually defeat those monsters. I would like to help her with that someday. When I told Lord CLO about that, he gave me a strange look and replied with, yeah, good luck. Good grief, you guys are too excited. But you look happy too, Big Sister Emerald. What happened? Well, I was able to get a valuable sample from this battle. Of course I would be happy. Lady Emerald drank her drink with a more cheerful expression than usual. The valuable sample she's talking about. I wonder if it's connected to the knives and poison she used in the earlier battle. For somebody who wants to create a resuscitation medicine and save people one day, you sure don't hesitate to use a deadly poison on monsters. Emerald, what are you talking about? Finding out how this poison affects beast-type monsters is a valuable sample. As long as my opponent is a monster that causes damage to others, I can use it with no hesitation. Just don't end up on a wanted list by using monsters for experiments at some point. Okay? I won't do that as long as my dad and that doctor are alive. Saying so, Lady Emerald drank the rest in one go. In other words, there's a chance that she'll do it eventually, but I'm sure she's just joking. She once said that she was still too young to pursue her dreams. Since we don't know what could happen in life, it's fine to just consider the possibility. Well, in the end it was burned away by Apricot and Gray's magic together, and mowed down by Brown's incomprehensible beam, so I could hardly confirm the progress of after effects though. That's certainly true. And Brown reduced the output of the beam a little. It almost hit me, and it looks like the beam Ms. Robot lets out sometimes. I can't. I don't understand the principle behind how I do it, so I can't suppress it or do anything like that. Yay. The beam that Brown released refers to the shock released from his longsword. Generally, it deals damage equal to a high-level magic if it hits the target. The person in question keeps shooting it repeatedly while not understanding what it is. It makes him both strong but dangerous. Subjugating monsters is fine, but if you sense danger, you should report to us immediately. Oh, Lady Violet. Then Lady Violet, who had come back from her exciting adventure with Lady Robot, spoke to us. It seems like she had heard what we were talking about. I lowered my head, and as everybody else gave their greetings, Lady Violet approached me. Gray, do you have any injuries? Are you hurt? If you feel lethargic or strange in other ways, report to me right away. You must not push yourself. I'm fine. Thanks to everyone's hard work, I'm neither injured nor exhausted. I see, I'm glad. After Lady Violet was relieved by my report, she looked me up and down and confirmed again that there were no problems. As usual, Lady Violet is excessively kind towards me lately. And it's not bad, but it's a bit embarrassing. I have to try a little more to not make her worry. Do I just have to become stronger to do that? Do I have to protect Lady Violet from? Or is it better if I become like Lady Apricot? Alright, let's start with my appearance first. It would be nice if she could lend me her cloak and a hat. When I see something like that, I can't bear to make my old man worry either. Maybe I should give him a shoulder rub from time to time. But you're not stopping experimenting with poison, are you? Are you telling me to die? You have it that bad, huh? Brown and I don't have parents, so we don't really understand that kind of thing. Right. However, what's wrong? No, I was just thinking that maybe adults aren't much different either. Author's note. Gray 11. Has high aptitude for all attribute magic and can use any type of magic. Apricot 14. A person with enough amount of mana and knowledge to be Gray's teacher. Emerald 13. Familiar with all kinds of poisonous substances. Can be brought down with a little wound. Brown 7. A natural-born fighter who wields a longsword and has the body of an adult. For some reason he can also unleash a beam from his longsword. People with strong fighting abilities in Shiki. According to CLO, those kids can't be put into an Otone game. They somehow live in a different world.